The story time long since forgot still lingers in the air. The one that starts across the sea. In death it brought despair. What once was four now back to par, though hollow at its core. The past is still the past, it seems, just trapped behind a door. And yet the riven woods they called a past with which they fought, a cryptic tale of dark desire, a boogeyman they brought. Within the wilder woods they walk, the autumn leaves below. The blackened, tar-like forest floor leave footprints as of snow. And what of silver strands that speak, a frail voice, but far too weak, a childless water burning bright through moonless, burnt, and blackened night? The feathers strewn around the ground, she wakes in which to see her past and cast along with it, in shadows both will be. A curious thing can happen when two random points in time collide. A world no longer as a whole will oftentimes divide. Luke stepped into the woods, the soft crunch of leaves beneath his sneakers, and as he did, he felt the autumn chill crawl up his back. Like spiny fingers, the branches of the barren trees pressed against his jacket as he made his way through the woods, following the wispy white light that buzzed softly in the night air. Sweat dripped from his brow. Nervously, he wiped it away, and under his breath, he muttered to himself, "It's okay. Everything's okay. I can do this," he said, as he reached into his pocket and held onto the small object. It brought him comfort as he rounded a large willow tree. On the other side of that tree, he froze. There, standing in the moonlight between the barren trees, stood a person. She was his height, maybe slimmer build, and stood motionless, staring at him. The wind knocked the trees softly together, which caused them to creak high above, and after a long beat, Luke rubbed his eyes, still clutching onto the small object in his pocket, and wiped the sweat from his eyes as the figure came into focus. "Tam?" he asked the darkness. Tam walked through the crunching leaves and into a bright beam of moonlight towards Luke, smiling. You got my message?" he said, almost smiling, with tears in his eyes. Without a word, Tam nodded yes, between the dark and imposing trees as she reached out for Luke's hand. Luke's hopeful expression began to fade as his eyes studied Tam's for the first time in 30 years. Something about her pursed lips, thin smile felt different. "How did you find me out here, Tam?" Luke asked. Tam softly shook her head and brushed the thin strands of hair from her face. As she did, Luke saw the nails on her left hand, thick and long, like pieces of wood. Luke took a half step back. What are you?" Luke said weakly, as Tam smiled for the first time with open lips. And as she did, slow, dripping black liquid began pouring from her open mouth, as the white in her eyes began filling with a cloudy darkness. She took a step towards him, as she ducked her head slightly and to the right, her hair now appearing thin and greasy. Luke reeled back and ran. Frantically, he passed by the trees as the blue moonlight illuminated his path, and in the darkness he heard its cry, the creature that stalked him. He ran through a row of barren trunks as Tam appeared through them like a flickering picture book. His heart burned wildly in his chest. He breathed fire as his lungs ached and creaked, and from the woods he saw the edge. He saw the clubhouse. He ran towards it, looking back one last time to see Tam above him, now with her hair floating as if in water, wild and free, unmoving in the autumn wind, looking down with a sickly smile, her eyes abyssal black. Her arm twisted and distorted into a tree trunk, and as the massive blow swept across Luke's face, he felt his teeth crack, his skull creak, and his eyes water with warm blood. He tumbled to the ground at the edge of the woods, onto his back as the creature, still wearing Tam's face, with a wild and chaotic smile, floated above him, its hair in the air. Its wide black smile and hollow eyes filled Luke with terror as his heart beat wildly in his chest. Luke frantically reached for the necklace Logan had given him, and as he pulled it from his pocket with blood-soaked fingers, the creature reeled back. With frailty through sticky red fingertips, Luke attempted to hang it around his bloody and beaten head, but as he tried, the creature screeched into the night and threw him with tremendous force from the edge of the wood and into the clearing next to the clubhouse. Luke, now on his stomach, in the long grass at the edge of the clubhouse, bleeding profusely from his gaping head wound, spotted the necklace knocked from his hand, which lay just past the doorway. Every muscle in his body ached as he crawled across the grass, streaking blood as he did towards the necklace, as the creature floated towards him from the edge of the wood. He touched the soft, wet floor of the clubhouse, and as he did, he reached a shaking hand out, just as another force tossed the necklace forward. It landed right between a crack in the wooden floorboards, and as it fell down below, Luke dropped his head in defeat. Softly he whimpered on the floor of the clubhouse he had spent the best years of his life in. With what little breath he still had, he whispered her name. "Tam. Tam," he said, as thin lines of spit and blood dripped from his mouth. He could feel the creature standing at the edge of the clubhouse, and with the last of his energy, Luke turned over onto his back to see Tam, same age she was when he last saw her, wearing her winter wool cap and mittens. She smiled at him as his vision began to fade. With closed eyes, Luke reached into his pocket to the object he held onto for all these years. With the last of his energy, he pulled it out, holding it tightly in his hands. With his final thought, he weakly smiled, the fulfillment of a promise he had made to himself all those years ago, that he'd die here at the clubhouse. Tam stepped forward, and with an innocent smile brought her trunk-like fist down upon his head. As the blood slowly dripped from Luke's ears, the creature lifted him off the wooden floorboards and with its arachnid-like hand carved into his chest the symbol it had done many, many times before. It dropped Luke's lifeless body onto the soft, blood-soaked boards of the clubhouse and headed back into the woods. In the still of that autumn night, as the blood from Luke's head and chest pooled beneath his lifeless body, his hand opened one last time to reveal a marble, which he had kept for almost 30 years. Silently it rolled across the damp floorboards, past the seeing is believing scrawl Maddie had carved 35 years ago, across the wax dripping from the many candles lit and burned down to the wick, through the broken pillars and structural beams, to where Luke had started this night, the long hidden stairway to the church's undercroft. Sheriff Paul Hall sits across from you in the diner, across from the boardwalk, the south side of Harper's Hill. His eyes drained of all color, his face flush. He brings the phone down from your view and slips it back into the plastic baggie and tucks it into his pocket. Now you know what I know.
And I look to Tam and to Marie, and just to their expressions, I'm completely blown away, and words aren't coming right now.
Marie's really pale and almost kind of shaking. She's got her hand down underneath the table, and she's holding her pistol. She's like, I'm gonna kill that thing.
Do you say that out loud, Murray?
Yeah.
Oh, you think we can kill that? What? How are we supposed to do that?
Well, first we find it. Then some kind of ambush. I don't know. Sheriff, is this... Have you ever seen anything like this?
No. Listen, guys, I understand the need to want to kill this thing. We're talking about something... And he looks around. Let's entertain for just a second that all of us here are as... I don't know what the word is. Maybe naive, but whatever the word is, let's just say for a second, everyone at this table is willing to believe that what's on this camera is 100% real and legitimate. And I'm willing to meet you there. I'm not saying that that's absurd at this point. How do you go about even tracking something like that?
Did you find anything unusual at the crime scene?
Nothing that would have in any way made sense to this. Like I said, she died of a spider bite.
Well, you know that's not true.
I know, because I saw the body, that's true. Whatever's on this video, whatever she photographed last before her die, whatever that thing was that crept out, I don't understand how it fits in. Because for all purposes, she died of a spider bite.
It's a fucking big spider.
Listen, that's part of the reason I came here. The other one is Ernest Dodd. And he stands up and he puts on his hat as he does.
Ernest Dodd?
Ernest Dodd. I spoke to you guys earlier, and I said that if I can get you in touch with someone from the force back in '82 willing to talk to you. Well, he's up north, and he's willing to speak, but we got to go now. He's an older guy, part of the home up north, and like I said, I only was able to get you a small window.
I pull out my phone, and I start texting. And you guys can't see what I'm doing, but I start texting Matt.
Okay.
And I say, things have changed. You need to get back in on this now. Where are you?
And Matty answers.
Just got back to the hotel room, just waiting for you guys to finish up at the funeral and the wake. I got some shit you gotta see.
Okay.
Okay, so the sheriff looks down at the four of you and says, or the three of you, and he says, all right, let's go. I can drive if you like, or you can meet me up there. But
One second. I think I can get one more in on this. You got room for one more in your squad?
Yeah. Look, I'll meet you out front. And he puts on his hat, throws down a few bucks from the coffee he had, and he heads out.
Meet us at the diner, Matt. ASAP.
And for a moment, the three of you are left in the booth, thinking and reeling from what you just saw, the creature on the film.
I don't think we can stop it. I think what we need to do is the shield is obviously not working. What Ackerman's tried to do didn't work.
Well, the only person who might have known what to do about it is Luke. And he's gone, but if in his diary he wrote down something that might have been able to protect him, we need to figure that out, because there's no way that and I see Marie clutching something in her pocket. If that's what I think it is, I don't think that's going to do anything.
Well, maybe he said something to his brother. You know, Logan was living with Luke for the past couple of, I don't know how long. Maybe Logan knows something.
Yeah, probably right.
Well, we're gonna have to go with Officer Hall first, and then after. Do we tell Paul about it? Do we tell him about Logan? And maybe the journal?
I think so. Well, we need as much information about Logan as we can get. If he's not going to give it, then maybe we can tell him that he's the one with the books. But if we can just find out where Logan is, then we can do everything else on our own. We don't have to fill him in all the way.
When I was suffering from, I say that I'm thinking this, when I was suffering from my delusions, I did a lot of reading on the occult, or I tried my best. It's hard to find things. I'm going to grab the salt shaker, Harlan.
Okay.
And I'm actually going to put it into my purse.
Thank God. I'm so happy you did that.
Well, if we have some dry chicken or something, you need something.
I just want you to be you, and that feels very you, so I'm happy for that. All right. Perfect. So you see the sheriff head out, and you each step outside the diner to the crisp autumn air, which sends a chill up each of your spines. The boardwalk across the street from the diner is covered with Halloween decor. Hay bales and pumpkins paint the small waterfront strip. It has a real small town feel, and it looks still and quiet. Nothing but the breeze stirs as you see on the far side of the water the setting sun. And the sheriff, just outside of his car, turns to you and says, take your time. And he sort of looks towards the street as he gets into his car, and you see Maddie in a hoodie walking up from the street.
You made it. How are you feeling?
Good. Yeah. Sorry, I did get dressed and stuff to go to the funeral. It's still not my thing, guys. You guys should check this out. And I pull out my phone and I show them pictures of the clubhouse. And I show them pictures. I was like, I had some time to check a few things out.
Well,
and
here, why don't we, the sheriff looks like he's ready to go.
What? Yeah, no problem. I'll show you in the car.
Yeah, I opened the door for him.
And you pile into the sheriff's back seat, and he locks it. He says, "Ha, gotcha." No, and and one of you gets up front, and he begins driving as Maddie kind of leans over, and whoever's in the front seat has an awkward position. But Maddie, you show what you have seen.
Yeah, so basically just showing you pictures of. I worked my way back from where Luke was hit, where the struggle began, and took pictures along the way. Just nothing in particular, but I show you a picture of the clubhouse where, as kids, we never really went because the whole place was caved in. But it looks like there's a pathway down, and it looks to me as if Luke was heading towards it.
Towards what's there? Did you go?
The collapsed section.
Huh.
And I didn't want to, I just thought we should all be involved in figuring that out.
This is good. You went back there? This is good police work.
What? Thanks. Just so you know. And I show her a picture of her picture in the yearbook and went, yeah, I did more police work. And also checked out the yearbook with you in it. So.
Oh, I hate that picture of me. It's got like bushy brown hair.
But it was right before your cast, which you had on for a long time. But you actually do feel, as awkward as it was, a bit fondly of it because that cast defined so much of the time around Sarah's death.
Yeah, and I actually asked her if she remembers someone named JR.
Yeah, that's your sister, right?
Yes.
We saw her earlier at the funeral. She's got a couple of kids. Nice family, looks like.
Sure.
We're
we
not
don't
close?
talk much. No.
Yeah. Sounds like JR.
Anyway, where are we heading now?
So the sheriff takes you up north, past the Red Sparrow Motel, past Webb Road, to a small nursing home. As you describe or explain to Maddie that you're taking, or the sheriff is taking you to an older police officer who worked on the force during the time of the original cases. As you fill in Maddie with the information of what you discovered during the day, that the cases, in large part from the original murders, were all lost. He seems to be your only connection to understanding exactly what brought those five together and what similarities they might have had. And George, you sitting in the front seat, as you arrive to the old folks' home, you remember coming here maybe 15 years ago to discuss care options for your dad. How does it look different?
Well, when I went back, it was very institutional. It felt like a hospital, and gray walls, like gray floor, Definitely did not feel like a place that I wanted my dad to live, but I didn't have too many options. Now, on the other hand, as I see people are walking by the PSWs, some of them are smiling and some of the residents are smiling. Um, uh, I can see people out in their rooms, and there's someone, I guess a volunteer with a visitor's badge, sitting and reading to a resident. And the floors and walls look like they've been updated. It still looks like a nursing home. It's not completely uninstitutional, but it is much more homey than it once was.
And and you feel coming to this place not the same regret that you thought you might when you found out where the sheriff was taking you.
Mm-hmm.
You thought perhaps that you'd remember your father in a negative light, but it actually makes you feel almost fond. And as you stand outside the car, as everyone exits and you enter the building, you reach into your wallet and you pull out the piece that you took from your dad's safe box. What was it again?
It's a little story that I wrote back when I was a kid, called Boogeyman Bannon, Georgie versus Boogeyman Bannon. It was this series that I wanted to write as a kid, that was basically me as Sherlock Holmes, using logic to solve crimes.
Much like you do now-ish. And as the five of you follow the sheriff up the steps to the front desk, he takes off his hat and sort of leans on it and says, yeah, we're here to see Dobbs. And the nurse sort of looks at him and looks at the other four and says, no, I know, okay, but you need to go, like, now. It's getting late in there. We don't like riling them up this late.
Yeah, okay.
And the sheriff nods, looks to the four of you, sort of knowingly, and heads down the hall to a small corner apartment. And he raps on the door and opens it to see an older man in a reclining chair and a housecoat. He has a big gray mustache and thick wire-rimmed glasses. And he looks up to you, five, as you enter his small little home. But, hello, Paul, I didn't realize you'd be bringing 4 guests. Jeez. And he sort of goes to make him stand up, and the sheriff walks over and puts a hand on his shoulder. No, Ernest, don't get up. It's not going to take too much of your time. And again, with his hat off, he sort of leans on the kitchen counter and says, and he walks over to the door, and he shuts it, and then returns to the counter and says, these are friends of mine. A few of them are in law enforcement. And they have a few questions about, what I mentioned on the phone. And you see a expression of sadness wash across the older man's face. Well, I'll help in any way I can, but obviously my memory's not as good as it once was.
Well, I'm sorry we have to make you relive this, but yeah, we wanted to talk about the murders that happened back in the 80s.
Okay. No, well, what do you need to know?
I don't know, Marie, do you have a place you want to start?
I guess I should begin by saying that all of us have been personally affected by these deaths. We all come from the town, and a lot of us were familiar with some of the victims. And we want to know what you know. The files, unfortunately, were lost in a fire. I'm not sure if you were still on the force in those days.
No, can't say as I was.
And I'm sure, as you say, your memory is failing you occasionally. But we're hoping if you could remember anything noteworthy, that you would be able to tell us firsthand. All we're going on are bits of newspaper clippings.
He looks at you with wet, red eyes. You can tell just from the way he sighs when you speak of the murders that they weighed on him greatly. Growing up in a small town much as you did, having the murders alongside you growing up is tough. But being there and unable to stop whoever or whatever was causing them has taken a great deal out of Dobbs. But he shares a look between the four of you, a knowing look. He believes your sadness to an extent. Why don't you give me a roll, Marie? A little bit
I
of
can do
a
that.
whatever you would like.
I also rolled in the meantime. I'd like to wander around and look at things. I know it's awkward, but I'm totally going to do it anyways.
That's fine because Marie totally bombed it.
So I'm actually looking over pictures and stuff on the walls and things like that, and his bookcases as I wander around.
Okay, give me. What did you roll? Sorry, success. Did you get a success?
A success for spot hidden.
Okay, yeah. You see a few. You see a few article clippings, sort of in a pile. Again, not necessarily from the murder, but of the town. Odd sort of stories. Nothing that catches your eye. The repainting of the large chair that sits at the waterfront when it's red. An odd thing to keep, but not necessarily out of the realm for an old timer. What was your level of success? Sorry.
It wasn't a hard success. I have a 70 and I got a 58.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's all you see. Sort of clips like that.
Okay.
He looks at you, Marie, and he feels for you, and he says, well, I don't, like I said, I'd be happy to answer any questions, but I'm not too sure what I'd be able to help. They were young kids. It was unfortunate circumstances. And he sort of looks at the sheriff weirdly, and the sheriff sort of looks like he might be regretting.
Do you remember the names of each of the victims? And the similarities between them?
Similarities. Well, yeah. Yeah, I remember the similarities for the most part. It was that damn carving. And he sort of goes to sit up, and he can't, and the sheriff walks over and helps him, and he does sit up. Oh, I got it. And he grabs his cane. And he sort of just turns around and sits on a more comfortable position on the couch. It was those damn carvings we could never suss out, but that's what was similar between them. But that's not what was interesting about those murders. It wasn't what was similar, it was what was different.
They were all killed in different ways, were they not?
They were.
These children.
They were all killed in different ways. Some of them not even. Some of them we didn't even think were murders at the time.
So it wasn't always a spider?
No, my sister was found on the shore of the bluffs.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like
Luke was hit over the head.
Your sister was
Sarah Schultz, yeah.
That makes you Marie.
Nice to meet you.
I'm sorry for your loss, Marie. Sarah was the last murder.
Well, I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but we come
And
here...
as you talk, you see the sheriff kind of wave his hand. You can press on if he wants, but that's what he does.
Why do you think the murder stopped? If it was never solved?
Oh, I don't know. And he sort of turns away. Maddie, or somebody, or anybody. Let's give it a persuasion roll. Let's coax a little bit more out of this old fart. And Marie, you can 1,000% push it. I was just letting you know what the sheriff does.
Let's bribe him with a lozenge.
Yeah.
I have a word as original.
I have no word.
Who's doing it?
Well, I was going to try psychology, but I failed.
Okay.
I can try to say something.
Sure.
Just listen, sir. We're not even really too sure where to start, but we thought that maybe you would have some information. I mean, you were working on this case for a long time, and if it were me, this would trouble me. It would trouble me that this maybe hasn't been solved. So I've been wondering whether or not has there been something that's been nagging at you over the years, something that if you knew at the time of the case, you would have done things differently?
Give me a roll.
All right. 64 for charm, and it's good.
And he says, what do you mean the murders weren't solved? And you see the sheriff who had the look sort of just turns away, sort of hoping that it's not said.
Luke's sister was different. They got the man that killed Luke's sister, but it is not the same person that killed the others.
He was convicted for those crimes, but in my professional opinion, there's no way. The carving is so different. And I spoke with the man. I believed him. He said that he confessed to that murder, but not Sarah's.
And the fact is that this is still weighing on you after all these years. You must know deep inside that that's true.
And he looks up at you, Marie, again with those eyes and a sharp gray eyebrow. No, I never believed it either. Paul was the only one on my side with that, but it didn't matter anything.
I'm going to look at... Sorry, I want to grab his hands, walk over to him.
Okay.
And I want to grab his hands and look him in the eye and say, well, then what did you believe?
Okay. Give me
I want to persuade
give me a
charm.
persuade or a charm. Yeah, whatever you want. A magic.
No, I don't want to do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
So he locks eyes with you, and he says, "You remind me of my daughter." And he sort of cups your hands. His old wrinkled hands feel loose in your skin, in your hands, and he says, "I never believed it for a second, and neither did Paul. Edwards was a scapegoat. We knew it, but Wiley was so convinced. He was so keen to make it wrapped up, and when the murder stopped, it all just fit too well. Evidence was lost, things were tampered to make sure that it stuck. That's where your files went."
What are we missing?
Yeah, sometimes intuition is where we hold our wisdom. I mean, logic dictates one thing, but intuition is something completely different. And if you went on your intuition,
and Paul,
what do you think happened?
And Paul sort of looks at him and says, "Ernest, I'm keen to know as well. I appreciate you keeping me in the dark all these years, but what was it?" And you can tell this wasn't the first time he's had this conversation. For his own safety, for the safety of Edwards, and for, in his mind, the resolution of all those families that suffered, Edwards was the scapegoat, and to reroute that meant the pain of so many people. But now, as time has pressed and this has been churned back up, he nods to Sheriff Hall. It wasn't much, but like I said, the differences is what made it. Eddie Marlin, he was the first. I remember it was the end of November in 81. When we found him, no one thought murder. He was torn apart by an animal like a dog, a vicious dog. We'd never seen dog bites that fierce and ferocious, but the lad came back and that's what it was.
Did you say Marlin?
Eddie Marlin, yeah.
Okay.
There was no reason to excuse it as murder, none whatsoever, and the case was open and shut, for lack of a better term, in those days. But when Taylor Ross passed away, early December, he was stabbed with a knife right in his heart, twice. We chalked it up at the time to a legitimate murder, except there was something strange with the body, a carving on it. A symbol looked like an eye at the side. And you can see Paul's invested in this too as he sort of leans forward. But there wasn't a connection until Patty, Margot. She was stabbed as well, but something smaller. Needles. They weren't as deep, but they covered her body. And that's when we saw the symbol again. It wasn't until Patty Margot and the symbol on her body that did we go back and look at Eddie Marlin. We realized that within his torn flesh, there was the symbol as well. All three were connected somehow. All symbols drawn with some object. We had no idea what it was, but it was done after their deaths. From there came Chuck Finley and then Sarah, your sister. And he looks up at you and locks eyes with you, Marie. Chuck died from suffocation. No known cause, no wrapped shirt around his neck. We had to excuse it, but the symbol was still there. And Sarah, was she drowned? On the beach again, easy to excuse, but the symbol connecting them all as murders, when that got leaked to the press, it went far and wide. A murderer. But how do you call a murderer for a drowning victim, a suffocation, a dog bite? Only Patty and Taylor were the ones that were attacked, but That's what was so odd about all those cases. The connection. It was just the symbol. And he sits back in the couch as you see tears start to sort of form in his eyes. Listen, Paul, I've been wanting to talk to you about this. I'm sorry I never shared it with you. But you're also not the first person I told this to. I want you to know that.
Did you know Luke?
No, Luke, no. The only person I spoke to about this was a young, older than most of you, but younger than me. Diana. She came around here maybe a year ago, asking questions. She twisted an old man's arm, played nice for me like you are, and he slaps your hand, Tam. And I told her what she needed to know. And
Did she say where she was from? What her interest in it was?
Well, she said her mother had interest in it. Yeah, she's actually just down the road, Diane Harold. And he points to the top of the bookshelf, and you see there's some dust and an old clock, and next to it, just tucked under, almost invisible, is a business card. And he points to it.
Oh, I reach up, I pull it down.
And you see a business card for Diana Harold, Harold Bed and Breakfast.
And what's the address?
It is 27 Livingston, which is just a little bit north of you.
Is the same street that was given by the librarian? Is it?
You were never given an address by the librarian.
Why would it be the same area?
It's north, yeah. And he says, she said her mother was asking about her mother's Sarah Cummings, I think.
Sarah Cummings.
When did she ask?
Oh, maybe a year ago. I can't remember. It was warmer weather than now.
And did you say anything about just why her mother wanted to know?
We talked over a few days, yeah. I didn't give her much information than I gave you, but she took a lot more to coax it out of me, let me tell you. No, she said that her mother worked with a friend from Arkham who lived in Harper's Hill, and that they were trying to right the wrongs of the murder all those years ago, and that they believed me, that Edwards was not the cause, that there was something linking them just like you, but I didn't tell her anything more than what I've told you, and I'm sorry to say that that's all I know. I've forgotten a lot of it. I've moved on. Try to, at least.
Well, that's all right. I don't have any more questions. Tam, Matt, Marie?
No, thank you very much for your time, sir.
No, thank you. And he looks up to Paul as he says, if we're right, whatever did those terrible things to those children, even if it was just finding their bodies in the right place at the right time and drawing that symbol on them, he deserves to die, and I hope he's long since dead at this point. And he sits back as he let go of your hands, Tam. And as you pull your hands away, you feel his hands as they were sweating.
Thank you very much. I know that was probably hard, but I think it'll help us a lot.
And you hear a knock on the door, and the nurse kind of walks in and says, okay, that's enough for tonight. And she kind of walks in and says, Mr. Cobb, okay, we're going to go down. Or Mr. Dodd, I should say. She sticks a big needle.
His name's Dobbs.
Dodd, sorry, D-O-D-D.
Get my name right!
And she kind of looks at the sheriff and says, and he says, yeah, and puts his hat back on and says, okay, let's go. And as you exit the nursing home out to the parking lot, it's now dusk. And you all share sort of a knowing look as the sheriff stops and turns around. Well, that's certainly something.
Well, since we're out here already, we need to go and talk to... we need to go to the bed and breakfast. Can you take us to 27 Livingston?
Of course. And you get in the car, And you drive. And just up Orchards Run, there's a small diner and a gas station. Some mighty nice houses now. However, there's also an older house on a hill, which turns out to be 27 Livingston. And as you drive up the stone pathway to the bed and breakfast, you see that most of the lights are off. The car comes to a stop out front as the sheriff kind of looks over George in the front seat. Well, I don't know if anybody's home, but it looks like something might be in the window.
One sec, I'll step out and take a look.
Georgie, you step out to the cool autumn night air as you tightly wrap your jacket around you, and you make your way across the stone pathway up the wooden steps to the front door. And you see closed in it, and there's a note that explains they're on holidays for 2 weeks. But there is a contact email as well as a number if you wish to make any questions or queries. And it also says that they check their messages regularly.
Okay. And I jog back to the car and pull the door open and closed quickly, getting inside. And I pass the card back to Matt. And, well, we've got this. They're closed for the next 2 weeks, though, so I think our best bet is to give them an email.
Why do you think why do you think Sarah's daughter was here? I mean, did she know everything? Her and Luke have communications?
Sarah? What do you mean? What's you want to know why Sarah was interested or Diana was interested?
Well, I know her mom was working with Ackerman.
Yeah.
And do you think Diane was just trying to figure out what her mom didn't finish? I think Luke and her probably knew each other.
Sort of Ackerman's apprentice and her mom's apprentice?
Well, if I was Luke, he would probably follow the same... I mean, we followed this path, wouldn't he?
That would make sense.
So,
Is there anything wrong with checking out their house now?
well, I mean, there's no reason. I think there's a lot of things we could talk to her about first.
Well, did you try the door? Maybe it's open.
Oh, all right.
Maybe we should just knock. There could be someone inside.
Knock
Okay,
3
all right.
times.
I'm the one going out into the cold. Ooh. I slammed the door.
I go with Georgie.
Okay, and the two of you head up the wooden steps to the bed and breakfast. And it looks like all the lights are off. It's a business through and through. There's a nice counter that you can see through the front window, a sitting area, steps upstairs to the hotel, or the rooms, I should say.
It sounds to me, Matt, like if she was taking notes, maybe she'd be taking them with her out.
Hello! I start yelling out. Anyone home?
You spend the
Knocking on the
next
door.
5 or 10 minutes knocking, yelling, waving, singing, and it is crystal clear that nobody is home.
And I look down the street. It's getting dark now, right?
It is.
Do we see any trick-or-treaters?
Yes, but the area around here, it's a lot more spaced
Spread out?
Yes. So you do
Rural?
see cars. Yeah, it's very rural, very rich, high-end area too.
Yeah.
Which also begs the question, maybe check for an alarm if you do break in. But anyway, you do see cars driving around. Kids.
I
on
know
the
that wasn't really a question.
But while we've got Matt,
Did I say question?
yeah.
While Matt's outside, I say, listen, we think we know. I've got a feeling I know who took the diary.
Really?
Who?
I say, getting back to the door, I say, it's got to make sense, guys. Logan. But I say this as I get it into the sheriff.
And
Logan
the
is
sheriff turns as you say it. Logan Karras?
Yeah.
You know him?
Yeah, it's Luke's brother. No good
Well, you
too.
said he's living with Luke,
Yeah, probably.
right?
And why are we still here? We can call Diane on the way.
Yeah,
All right.
we can email her. It doesn't matter. But Logan, he was so close with Luke, and I say this. I'm looking back at Marie and Tam. Does this not make sense to you guys? He was close with him. He's the only one I can think of who would want to do something like that. being as he's the only one who's close with Luke in town.
I
Worth
mean,
talking to him.
Sheriff, do you know anything that you can be explicit with us about with regards to Logan?
Yeah, and he starts up the car and he starts driving. Yeah, Logan. Listen, he's not a bad kid, but he's been in his fair share of trouble. A few breaking and enterings, a few stolen property. Nothing that really ever went anywhere. Most of the people in this town, when you do something bad, they want an apology and the stuff back, and Logan's too stupid to be cruel in that way. Listen, Luke's dad, Greg, left his wife shortly after and got remarried. And they had a kid, and that was Logan. He never liked his dad, so he took his mom's maiden name. But him and Luke got along pretty well, especially after Gregory died. And he's been staying with him for a few years, doing odd jobs. And he's talking as he's driving back down into town. And as you're entering the town, you are seeing the trick-or-treaters out, and the house is lit up, and the displays. And it's such a small town. I mean, when you guys grew up here, you did Halloween, you know, but the trick-or-treaters and stuff like that, the costumes were always so hokey, and no one went overboard on the decorations. But now, with the feeling almost being an attraction for outside tourists, the town is alive with color. The street lamps have all been changed to orange bulbs, and as you drive down the strip, it's tough not to feel a little bit nostalgic for the sort of childhood that you never got to experience. And the sheriff continues down. Sorry, continue.
What's the hot costume this year?
It's 2017, probably Trump. I don't know.
Yeah,
Trump with a knife in his head.
A bunch of tiny little Trumps.
Little angry Trumps with things
terrifying.
On them. Yeah. Anyway, so he drives down the strip and he says,
So really, they're just like jack-o'-lanterns with like.
Yeah,
wigs?
Orange something, fucking, I don't know.
Mops.
Idiots. And they're driving down, Putin and Trump couples holding hands. And they're driving down he's driving down the strip and he says, but did a lot of odd jobs, fish packaging, things like that, and as he rounds the main square and the tree on the hill and the hay bales, you see the town party, which is of Halloween night, lit up on the hill. And he comes to a stop. I am 99% sure that Luke is working the fair tonight. And if you're looking for him, and he turns around, that's where you're going to find him.
Logan, you mean?
Sorry. God, that's embarrassing. Sorry.
Sorry, it's hard to believe that the wake was this morning.
I think it's on everybody's mind.
All right.
Yeah, all right.
Could you ask, Paul, could you call, do you know Diane Harold at all?
No, never.
Is this still in his jurisdiction?
Yeah, it is.
So she would probably know of him.
Uh,
It's a small town, right?
Yeah, not this part. This part is Orchard's Run, which is far north of town.
Well, can I borrow your phone, Georgie?
Yeah.
I got no data.
I might as well. The sooner we leave a message, the better.
You gonna email or you gonna call?
I'm gonna call.
Here, let me just punch in the code. Just make sure you press the screen so that it doesn't black out.
Oh, it
can
blacked
also
out
email.
again. What was the code again?
Or I'll whisper it to you. Wow.
I'll start typing an email on the phone as well.
Okay, and what
All
does your email say, Matt?
3, 4.
I don't know. What should it say?
You gonna tell all, or you gonna keep it hidden? Play an open hand or play it closed? At this point, what's
I'm
gonna
gonna play it open at this point.
Fucking A. So you spill it. You tell what's going on.
Yep.
And that awesome email sound shoots off. As Tam, you dial the number and give it a call, and you get a voicemail. Hi, you've reached the Herald Bed and Breakfast. Please leave a message if you have questions about a booking. Blah 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 blah.
Hi, this is Tamarack Moonshine. I was calling. I had some questions. This is very strange. It's not about the B&B, but about Diane Harold. If you could call us back, that'd be great. What's the number, Georgie?
Oh, it's
Can I give the number?
9.
Yeah. And you give the number.
Thank you. It's pretty important. It
Okay.
has to do with your mother.
Okay. And you hang up. All right. So you send her an email and you've left her a message. And as the four of you exit the sheriff's car, he drives off into the night, never to be seen. in the next few minutes.
Wait, my purse is in there.
And he puts on your lipstick and dances while tucking his penis behind his legs.
Mm-hmm.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck you so hard. To what's the song? Horses something? Not wild horses, something else horses. Anyway, so to the hill. The town festivities are in full swing. They've started off as you climb the hill towards the tree that you've seen so many times. The hill's lit up like never before, string lights illuminating the many booths of various, highlighting a slew of Halloween games and treats. Children walk past dressed in all manner of horrors, including Trump. And you hear the shrieks of the children and adults alike echoing through the large hay maze to the right of you. And as you reach the top, you see a large crier on stilts. And he points to you, Matt. You there! Do you have what it takes to get through the House of Horrors? And he points, and just over the booths and the hay, you see sort of a peaked roof with glowing orange lights, and you see House of.
Excuse me, sorry. Do you know where Logan is?
Logan! Ha ha! I've never heard such a mortal name, he says. His face is painted in sort of black makeup with a skull, and he's wearing big teeth that make it difficult to speak. Give me a persuade roll. Or a law roll, whatever you want.
All right.
I'm a fucking cat, man.
Nope.
No. So he looks at you.
Can I
he
push
stays
it
in.
by pulling out my badge?
Can you push it by pulling out your badge? Yeah, you can push it. Yeah, sure.
I was totally going to do that.
Yeah, do it.
Listen, we really need to talk to this guy.
Okay. So at first, he kind of stays in character. Nah, miss, on Halloween night, there are no names such as... And then you pull out your badge. Says, okay, my apologies. Yeah, sorry. Logan, yeah, he's working... Actually, he's working at the House of Horrors.
I appreciate what you're trying to do here. You're doing a great job. Sorry to interrupt you.
No problem. It's all for the kids. No worries. Yeah. No worries.
Yeah.
Take it easy, guys. Welcome to Halloween night. And he continues talking as the little kids. And as you sort of round through the booths, you see kids running, pushing each other. And Tam, you look at some of the kids, and you have a sort of nostalgic feeling. And you remember your first Halloween with the guys. What was it like?
It was really awkward because I have hippie parents. So I dressed up as a Frida Kahlo. So no one got my costume, and they just made fun of my eyebrow.
Yeah, the one eyebrow.
That sucks.
But it was nice because Luke got it, so that's what I remember.
And as you remember that, and you're walking through, the sort of nostalgia, excitement does fade a bit to sadness, remembering this morning and the eulogy you gave. And you think about the last thing you said to Luke, and you kind of hold it for a moment. And George, you see the large hay maze to your right. And as you do, you turn to Marie. And Marie's sort of looking at it with a bit of fondness. Why are you looking at it with fondness, Marie?
Look at the hay maze with fondness because I love puzzles. And it's reminding me that I have a goal to get to the other side.
And
also, it's autumn.
Yeah, and you feel a bit inspired, actually, to the maze. And you feel almost a challenge within yourself. You remember spending a lot of days in your room in college, making little puzzles and mazes and things like that on paper, always looking to solve it in the quickest, most effective way. And again, you sort of feel nostalgic about that. All of you feel that way. As you make your way... Sorry.
She pulls out a cigarette, and then she looks around, and there's just a lot of kids. And she's got her Zippo lighter that she's always kind of fidgeting with. And instead of lighting it up, she just puts a cigarette away, but she's still flipping this lighter in her hand.
And Tam feels accomplished somehow. And as you round the hay maze, you see the large depiction, the House of Horrors, a face with elongated grin and hollow eyes, painted in large white and black colors, sits almost looming towards the dead grass before it. And you see a crier out front, twiddling a stick, just kind of throwing up and throwing it down. And you recognize him as Luke.
No.
Really?
Yep. Oh, fuck. Logan. Wow, twist. Could you imagine? But
Deadpan about it. Too.
he sees you first. And as the four of you, in sort of like, you come around like a unit almost, he catches your eye. And you see him turn around quickly, leaving his stick, and he heads into the house. The haunted house. And it's sort of a big wheel up one, but it's massive. It looks like it took a day to set up itself.
So he's running away from us. It's pretty clear.
Yeah.
Logan, hold up, bud.
Over the shrieks and cries of the Halloween participants, your voice carries on the wind.
Then I take my gun and shoot him.
Okay.
No,
So
I'm
you
just
shoot
kidding.
Logan in
Totally
the head.
kidding.
His brains splatter the front. Everyone stops what they're doing and turns to you screaming. The sheriff arrests you. And later in prison, some naughtiness happens. No, you do not do that.
Do we have to pay to get in this haunted house? Is there like a booth that you have to give tickets or whatever? Can we
normally, but this dude was the only guy
just ran
running it,
away.
and he just ran into it. Free admission.
All right.
So he ran away from us.
He ran into it.
So I say, you guys go in. I'll wait around back in case
All
he
right.
goes out the back.
And I was actually going
I
to
go over to
do a
Josh.
circle to see if there's any other exits.
Georgie, are you afraid? Because you can hold my hand. It's okay.
Shut up, Tam. This is serious.
You're
Come
right.
on, Tam. Let's go.
You can
Okay.
seriously hold my hand.
We got to
So-
get those diaries.
Yeah, Tam and Marie, you enter, and as you do, a puff of sweet-smelling smoke sort of sprays from behind a particle board cutout of Frankenstein's monster. Brrr. And slowly you make your way down a thin hallway. And Maddie and Georgie. So Maddie, where are you? Out front, out back?
Well, I wasn't going I wanted to go and see if there were any sort of hidden doors that staff would go in.
Okay, so you go around and you pat it really quick. And actually, Georgie does the other side. And you see that next to the entrance would be the exit. And it sort of seems like they're one in, one out type thing.
Okay.
So I would go in that way. Georgie, if you want to hang out here, that's cool. I'm going to go in.
No. I'll go with you.
So
Alright,
the
since
two
we're
of
gonna
you
be two of
enter
us.
the exit, and it's sort of all black, and you pull out your flashlight and shine it around, and you can't quite see where it is. It sort of just seems like a black wall of particle board in a sort of a cube fashion. As much as you push, it doesn't seem to be giving.
Maybe it's the mechanism. All right. Well, let's just go in the regular way, I guess.
See if I can kick it down.
So you start kicking. Give me a kick roll.
How high is your
Georgie's
kick
like,
skill?
we should probably just go around. Doosh.
I'm angry.
So what do you want? Brawl?
Yeah. Okay. So success.
Well, that
so
would be hard success.
So you kick it. It's particle board. So your leg sort of you can feel it give, but your leg pops through it a bit, and it's stuck. So Georgie, you see Matt stuck as he sort of is just. You can see he's frustrated. Actually, emotionally, he's very charged up.
Okay. All right. I said, whoa. It's okay.
Yeah, so,
It's all right. We'll get it. We'll go in the regular way.
I'll just
We'll
push
get
right
around.
through.
Okay, you continue pushing, and you see Georgie from your position. You see that Matt is pushing frustratedly, and you can see it's fruitless. The wall is. It looks like it can only be pushed from one way, and because there's no ways to pull it open, he's sort of just ramming it tighter and tighter and tighter.
And I put my hand on his shoulder. I say, Matt, cool it. What the hell is wrong? Breathe. Just breathe, man. It's okay. We're not going to get in this way. You're just getting your leg more stuck.
And you see Matt, and he's upset. And as he kind of is pushing and pushing, he looks up to you, and you see his eyes are wet with tears. And you hear him under his breath, and he's saying, Luke. And
Shit. All right, and I just try to console him. And what are the other two doing? Are they already
okay,
inside?
so yeah. So you guys, you slowly make your way down a thin hallway lined with wet, glowing green slime.
I'd say Marie probably pulls out her flashlight at this point.
Perfect. And it immediately reveals the slime to be just wet balloons that are sort of like pulsating with power of some sort. And you enter a small, well-lit room, and you hear a heavy wooden door slam behind you. The two of you are in a small, a fairly large room with a wall of holes, maybe 8. Some large enough to climb through, maybe 5 feet off the ground. Others small, but able to get through if you're on your stomach. And you look around and you see that the door you pass through, again now shut, depicts a large, crooked tree, painted black. And the well-lit room suddenly is plunged in darkness as the light turns off, and only your flashlight, the sort of neon glow of your flashlight, shines around.
Logan?
What do you want from me? His voice sounds out from an unknown direction. It's coming from the front, but the 8 holes sort of hide his whereabouts.
We're trying to find out what happened to your brother, and we think you can help us.
You know what happened to him.
We're trying to figure out exactly what happened to him. And we think that maybe you have information that we don't.
The same thing happened to him that happened to all the other kids.
And we want to stop it so it doesn't happen again.
You can't stop it. That's what Luke tried to do. Don't you understand? That's why he's fucking dead. And his voice kind of echoes out, coming from the holes again, but you can't quite tell which one.
And you don't want to stop? You don't want to stop this?
Georgie, you're embracing Matt, whose foot is stuck in the thing. But he is not here. Matt, can you hear us?
Oh yeah, no, I'm good now.
Okay, so Paul.
Okay.
Yep.
Matt.
So I'm just working on now kind of trying to fall through it. Rather than pull my foot out, I want to just kind of fall through it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold you back. Matt is being completely just reckless.
And Matt, your excuse, it's clear that this is fruitless. You're pushing a locked door tighter and tighter. And George has his hand on your shoulder, and before you realize it, there are tears coming from your eyes.
Fine. Fuck it. And I just rip my foot out and go storming around the other way.
Whoa, Matt. Matt, wait.
Fuck it. Let's go.
Matt, we should talk. We haven't had a chance to talk about where you were yesterday, really. I mean, you've always been emotional. I know that. It's okay. But yesterday you left. Are you okay? Are you okay to go through with this? You don't look okay.
Georgie, I'm fine. I'm just... I've never been good with death. And again, the fact that Luke wanted to die that day at the clubhouse, he wanted to, and he didn't. And he was in tears because he didn't succeed.
It still gets to you, eh?
And he ends up there, ironically, fighting for his life. I mean, we were kids. We had guns to our head. How did you not let that, how are you getting through your life? I'm a fucking mess. I can't keep a girlfriend. I can't keep my job. I can't, how are you doing it?
Listen.
You've always been stronger than me that way.
No, Matt, I'm not stronger than you. And I'm feeling a well of emotion rising in me. I thought I was. When I left, I thought I was being, a hero, doing it for someone else. You got to do it, otherwise, And I left and I was looking after my dad. Oh, Georgie, the White Knight, looking after his dad in the nursing home, all that. But when I heard about Luke, I realized that deep down, I'm just as afraid as you are. And I'm not as independent as I thought I was. I'm not. And it goes right back to when we were kids. I need you guys. I need you guys in my life. I'm not fucking joking, Matt.
George,
You
I'm
guys
gonna
are like pillars.
tell you something I've never told anyone. The first time in the line of duty that I had a gun pulled on me, I pissed my pants. I literally pissed my pants like I was that 12-year-old boy in that basement. That's why I'm a desk cop. That's why I can't go on the street.
That's all right, Matt. I'd probably do a lot more than piss my pants. You know me.
I became a cop so that no one would have to feel that way again, and it's never left. I can't shake it.
Hey, well, you're being awfully brave for someone who's dealing with the shit you're dealing with inside. What is it? What's that saying? That courage isn't the absence of fear; it's action in the face of fear. If you're as afraid as you say you are, then the fact that you're standing here right now says wonders about your character, Matt.
And as the calls and the cries of the party around you begin seeping back into your senses, the two of you share a knowing look and oddly feel a bit more comforted, like you're friends once again.
I give him a hug.
I reciprocate.
I've really missed you, Georgie.
Same, man. Same.
Tam and Marie, you ask your question to the darkness. Don't you want to help your brother? And Logan, you can hear him panting somewhere beyond the wall. Of course, I want to help him, but you don't understand. It's just a way to get killed. That's it. There's no saving anyone.
You're wrong. You have to be wrong. And even if you're not, there's still no point in trying to just hide. We have to do something. You can't just sit around waiting. Like all those other children that died in 1982, they weren't trying to solve a murder, but they died anyway. We have to do something.
We know it's not. We know what Luke was trying to do and figure out. You don't have to hide from us.
Give me a roll, both of you. Persuade for Marie and whatever you want. Tam, charm, persuade.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Extreme success.
Regular success.
And with that, the power turns back on.
There's a kid there going, "This is the scariest."
And as the power turns back on, and you hear the audio and the music turn back on, which you didn't realize was there originally. Of which do you feel most afraid? The light, the shadow, or the shade? And you realize that on the wall there are holes, some with dim light, some with bright light, some bathed in darkness. And you hear from the far side Logan's voice. I'm here then.
It would be really great if we could go somewhere else to talk, maybe. I know you're at work right now, so it's not convenient, but any chance you're going to be on break soon?
So it's sort of like a fun house. Like it seems like this is like the next stage of where it is. And you imagine as a kid maybe even going through the same one, crawling through one of those holes. You need to choose a hole. The ones with the light, the ones with the dim light, or the ones bathed in darkness.
I'll go through this one. and I crawl into the darkest one.
Interesting. Okay. That's how you'll die. And Marie, which one do you choose?
Marie waits to hear what happens to Tam.
And again, the pre-recorded. Of which do you feel most afraid? The light, the shadow, or the shade?
Tam?
And,
It'll ruin it if I say anything.
All right, Marie kind of heads towards one of the larger holes that's sort of dim but not bright, and she shines her flashlight around in it for just a couple of seconds, and then kind of like steps through, like crouching a little bit to get
and you
through.
step through it, and it's sort of a rotating hole, so you sort of awkwardly
I hate that shit.
get through. And Tam's, yours is a bit of a slidey hole. And the two of you sort of come down into other tunnels, and you see that there's only about 3 or 4, maybe 5 tunnels that do from the 8, but they all seem to connect in the same place. And as you fall out on the other side, you each emerge to be standing on sort of some soft mats. And looking back, you see you've exited through the mouth of a man. His face is painted across the large wall, his eyes, nose, mouth, all vacant holes which you've crawled through. And as you land on the other side, the wall begins moving on a track. It's sort of a gaping mouth like this. And it begins like this. And it begins moving towards you.
Like what, Harlan? Do that one more time.
No, I did too many times. I
Thank
took too many
you.
time. You can't lose it. You can't lose it. You can't too many time, huh? Anyway, so you get out and begins moving towards sort of what you see as maybe an exit door. And give me a listen roll.
All of us?
The two of you,
Hmm. I failed.
Tam. In the music, it's a crackling track. You hear something within it. It's sort of a chant. And as the wall's moving and you're moving towards what you can only assume is the exit, you hear it. And it's sort of like a nursery rhyme. Danny Bannon's coming for you. Danny Bannon, run you through. Can't be stopped, can't be fed. Danny Bannon's gonna make you red. As the wall continues kind of closing in on you. Give me a spot hidden as well.
Just Tam
Marie?
or
No, Marie.
Maria?
I was successful with that as well.
You both
I
were.
also am, yes.
Perfect. And as you are moving and you see within sort of the wall, which is closed moving by, you see a set of feet shifting out a very tight passage.
Logan? Is that you?
And as you say that, you see his head sort of duck back, his long beard and his disheveled head, his eyes wet with tears. And he almost just sees you being pushed by and is too nervous to move.
Logan?
And slowly the wall is moving. It's about to seal off basically where he is.
Can we get through it in time?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, well, I'll do that.
So you begin moving towards him, and he sort of ducks out again into the darkness behind the boards, and the two of you follow him. And as he pushes between the boards, you see him maybe 5 feet in front of you, sort of looking.
Where are you
behind
going? Why are you running away from us?
Because I can't. And he moves through the walls, and he moves through a passage and pushes open the door, and he steps out as you see sort of the bright lights of the fair bathe the small hall. But very quickly you're on him. And as you exit, you see Logan standing there
In front of Georgie and
with
Matt?
Georgie and Matt standing maybe 2 feet away, and he looks at the 4 of you and he looks back. He looks at the 2 of you and then looks back.
We're not asking you to do anything you're not ready to do, but we're going to do it. You just need to put us in the right direction. Point us to where Luke wanted us to go.
If I help you, if I give you what you need, if I give you his diary, you have to understand it just means that you're going to die just like he did.
No, we're not.
And with that, it's time for the mid-game post! forgot about that. Remembered it that second. Hello all. Welcome back to the Invictus stream. That's right. My name is always Mr. Harlan Guthrie, and I'm here with my sexy friend, Mr. Chris Charbonneau. Oh, fuck. That's not your name. Fuck it, who cares? It doesn't matter anymore. That's good.
What are names?
My very good friend, Miss Joe Fallick.
Hello.
My best bud, Mr. Justin Thomas James. My brother, Mr. Michael Bart.
Hugs all around.
That's right. For some reason, I decided to do the whole intro in the middle of the game. But anyway, that's right. Welcome to the middle of the game. It's time for the mid-game post. That's when we stop the action. We jump to the Facebook group where we're going to ask you a question. The first person to answer the question correctly will be in a 1d6. And of that, you will win 1 XP. So well done. Also, shout out to John Regan, who won the most valuable post this week for his post, which, queried us to answer the question, if you were the last person on Earth, what is the first thing you do besides crying? Which mine definitely would have been crying. I don't know what type of crying, whether it'd be like...
I only cry for people to see me, so there'd be real no point in that.
That's true. You do those manly tears. Where
I do.
Like,
see who's looking around?
Yeah, like...
Where they don't even come out as tear ducts, they just come out as pores.
That's right. When was the last time? When was the last time you cried, Chris?
Like beads of sweat.
Like weeping or like a tear or two?
Maybe like a tear or two. When was the last time you were like emotional to the point of tears?
It's definitely watching some show.
Probably,
I'm sure.
Right? Do you ever watch Band of Brothers? That end of Band of Brothers, that always gets me.
I didn't. It doesn't get me that much.
Really? Oh, it's that fucking line. My son came up to me one day. Blah, blah. Oh, every time. So close, so close. Oh my God. Oh, focus. I don't know. When Luke died at the beginning of this, I was pretty emotional too. I was pretty upset.
There were some good answers though to that end of the world.
They were great answers. So well done, John, for winning the most valuable post. Of course, the mid-game question is going to be, I will post it and then we'll plug all the beautiful things that we're going to talk about. But I'm posting right now. The mid-game post question for today is going to be, how did the first victim, aka Eddie Marlin, die in 1982? That is posted. The first 6 answers, we will roll a 1d6, and if you win, you will get experience points. So, go on and answer that.
I'm excited. This is the first time I actually had notes that I could actually answer this.
Oh, I'm so
proud
happy
of you,
for you,
Michael.
bud. You're growing up. You're growing up. So yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, please go ahead and like the video right now, because it makes us feel very, very special, and it makes my tummy feel happy. Also, please follow us on Twitter, whatever that is. Follow us on Instagram now, because Joe uses our Instagram, and it actually has sort of,
on purpose.
That's right. So follow that. Lots of cool posts there. Also, make sure you join the Facebook group. Facebook group is where all the cool people hang out. It's where everyone's chatting right now. No, they're chatting on Discord, but people are answering the question right now. It's also where you can enter the running to win most valuable post. It's also where you can make friends. And if anyone is in Maryland, by the way, give a shout out to my boy, Eric Johnson.
Help our broodling out. Yeah.
Help a broodling out, because that dude is a 48-hour layover in Maryland. And
He's supposed to be in Germany now?
he's supposed to be in Germany, and he's in
Poor
Maryland.
guy.
So
I hear Maryland is like
it's like the Germany of the
Germany
States.
of the States.
That's basically the same. No, bad joke. Let's not go there. And basically, it is a good place to be. But if you are from Maryland or around there, maybe, hang out, pick him up. He can take a bus to you if you're 3 hours away. Hint, hint. I know who you are, but I'm not going to say it because I feel like it's awkward. So please help out Eric. We got some answers to the question, how did the first victim, Eddie Marlin, die in 1982? This is going to be interesting because I don't know the answer, and I wrote it. Zia says torn apart. That is correct. Mike says dysentery. That is not correct, but hilarious. Rin says turn apart, seemingly by an animal. Turn is not correct, but I'm going to give it to you because no one should be faulted for a spelling mistake. Joe.
Thank you.
Fair enough. Michael says torn apart by dogs, allegedly. Kellen says torn apart. Godpool says torn asunder.
Oh no, it's okay.
It wasn't his ass. Yeah. His ass wasn't under it. Let's do that too. And
sort of like dysentery.
And Mike says fine torn apart. Okay, so
God.
that's 1,
Finally torn apart like into little pieces.
5, 6. So that's our 6. Let's roll a 1d6 and see who the lucky gal is. Drum roll me. Godpool.
Hey.
Hey, Joe's happy for that. Why did you want Godpool to win, Joe?
Big noises.
Wait, how do you actually say his name?
Godpool.
No, we don't try because we fail.
Follow.
And if there's anything my father taught me, it's that do not try for fear of failure. That is just, you know what?
Trying is the first step of
It
failure.
really
That's
is. Do not.
Didn't he make a whole video that was explaining how?
Yeah, exactly.
Follow Carton is what it is.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
What? Yes, but in any case, Joe, why did you want Godpool to win? You were too happy about that.
Oh, I was just excited about Godpool because then we get to say his name a whole bunch.
That's
Godpool,
true.
Godpool,
I secretly
Godpool.
think Joe gave you the answer so that she could split the XP.
Wink.
I'm not
Got
trusting
someone
this.
on the inside.
Also, super exciting news. Next week, we are starting a new system. A brand new system for the stream, which is something I'm fucking excited for, to be honest, for many many reasons. First and foremost, because Miss Joe Fallick is running it. Who the hell wouldn't be excited for that? The other reason I'm excited is because it's a new system, and fucking was the last time we played a new system. Am I right?
Oh man.
Most of the time it's systemless. So Feng Shui, or however you want to say it, is the system we were starting on Wednesday. It is a action-packed kung fu crazy romp in Hong Kong in the 60s. It's going to be fucking awesome. So
It's going to be a roller coaster.
It's going to be a fucking roller coaster. So if you like awesome things, and I don't know why the hell you wouldn't, make sure you check it out. It's going to be this Wednesday. You're going to get a lot of promotion and all that kind of shit to hear about it, so you can't miss it. And it's going to be running for a few weeks, but you'll hear about that after and all that kind of stuff. I'm playing a Jack Burton
Don't look at the finger pointing to the moon, or you miss all the heavenly glory.
Is that your... That who you, what? I'm doing Jack Burton from, what's it called? Big Trouble in Little China? I'm
Yeah, Jack Burton.
That's who I'm doing. I'm literally...
I never drive faster than I can see.
I'm going doing him through a mix of him and Ash. So idiot, but noble, but like trying to be noble, but an idiot.
Well-intentioned.
Well-intentioned. I like idiot.
In the end. Maybe a little selfish.
Yeah, always selfish. Always selfish. But he comes back at the end, which I love. All right, so Feng Shui next week starts Wednesday. Hang out for that. That's going to be a blast. And finally, there was another thing I wanted to mention.
Charity?
Oh, charity. Well, that wasn't the last thing. I thought there was something else I missed. But anyway, charity. We are, of course, participating in the Extra Life organization, which is a charity that helps Children's Miracle Network of Hospitals. It is sincerely a fantastic cause. The only reason that we tend not to push it so much now is because I don't want you guys to get exhausted from donating. So we're going to be doing another big push in a little bit of time. So start saving those pennies because we want to really put a dent in what we're doing. And there's a lot of awesome stuff that we're making and creating so that you guys can watch. The Hot Ones Challenge, which we have completed. Who made it? Who knows? Who got that far? Are you eating a chicken wing? Oh, chips. Miss Vicky's. All right. Classy. I guess I focused the camera on you, so it's my fault. Also, if we reach $5,000, you guys get a maid RPG, which I think Joe would be running, and we'd be dressing up as the maids. So that would be pretty damn fun.
Oh, that would be great.
Also, the
I'm
Victor's
just gonna
album.
like stand there like this the whole time.
I am, yeah. We'll just be our boobs. There's also a few crazy unlocks. I think I said if I something, it's 4,000 maybe, we do a musical episode, which is really good and tough to, I don't even know how it would work. And about 3 other things that are really exciting. So please, if you have the time and the ability to donate, the link is in the description, and it would mean the world to me. You'll get a kiss from our most attractive member, Michael.
It doesn't have to be a lot. People like
Oh,
a couple
fuck
bucks every episode.
how the hell can I focus now? I'm rock hard.
Oh,
All right. That is it from me. Without further ado.
I'll reverse motorboat you.
Oh. Wait, what's reverse?
Take it all.
Oh, that's where you force your breasts on me. I like it. That's
Why he's the sexiest member.
That's why he's the
classic
sexiest
move.
member of the stream. All right. Without further ado, let us back to the world of Grimm for the epic conclusion at this point in time. Logan has led you to his car, his red 2005 Nissan Altima. He's opened the trunk and handed you Luke's diary, his broken, dead phone, and an old spell book. And Tam, you recognize the spell book almost immediately. It's the one that you guys had in the clubhouse, one that you spent many nights poring over, collecting different recipes and spells.
I can't believe he still had this. I started opening it up and looking through it.
Logan, why do you feel like you had to steal these from me?
He sort of looks down. He says, I didn't know your intention. The truth is, I had planned to steal them myself from the police. I was waiting that night across the street, just getting up the nerve to go in. There's about 5 different ways I was thinking of doing it. Walking in with a gun. It's the stupidest one. Then I thought about distracting them. And then you came. I saw you creeping across the parking lot, distracting the guards, I assume, because they left for no real reason. Just walking in and walking out with it. I had my doubts about what you were carrying, but there's no major cases going on. I followed you back to your motel, waited across the road at the gas station for you to leave. Listen, this wasn't about taking anything from you or taking anything from the police. Luke was gone, and Luke was the only connection I had to anything, really. He was my best friend and my brother.
We'll see that you get these back afterwards. And thank you for trusting us now.
I'm not trusting you so much as understanding that you feel confident that you're not going to get... I took them because I thought maybe there was something in there that could help me find Luke or bring Luke back, but it's not. It's all just kid stuff. He kept that spell book so close to him, I kind of thought maybe he had something in there that was worth anything. But it's not. Just something he translated from that book that Ackerman gave him.
So me looking through these, I don't recognize a lot of the spells then.
No, most of the spells are all you recognize. There are things that you collected over the years. There are things that you in your own pen made. Different ones. I will share it here. To another place in time is one of the spells. Awakening spell. A reverse awakening spell. The exchange of power. To hear secret thoughts. But as you scroll through, the last spell in the book looks handwritten. And you remember this page being one of the blank pages near the back of the book. And instead, in what you can only guess is maybe Luke's scrawl, it says Wayward Spirit Spell. It says 1, light black candle. 2, draw chalk pentagram. 3, read following. And the following says, I seek you by your mortal name. This shackle binds you still. Rise from the eternal plane and carry out my will. Show me to your resting place so I may help you leave. I call to you now, spirit world. This soul I will receive. Then it says step 4, speak the name Harper Langdon. 5, when we reach her resting place, put the necklace over her corpse. And 6, salt and burn the bones. He also wrote down must be midnight. Oops.
I go to Georgie and I say, Georgie, I put these spells in here with Luke. All of them except for this one at the end. And look at their handwriting.
It's a lot more mature.
It's clearly his writing as an adult.
Yeah, Harper.
And there's
Langdon.
the name, Harper Langdon.
Yeah. What do you think it means? Do you think it's actually a real spell, Tam?
Well, I think he was trying a real spell. Maybe... Where do you think he tried this? Do you think he tried it at the grave of Harper Langdon? Or over her?
And as you're questioning, Marie is actually looking over the diary. And she's leafing through it. Marie, do you want to read what's on the diary?
I absolutely do. If you can send it to me.
Oh, it's in the Discord. Let me...
Oh, that's where it is. Okay.
I'll post it again.
Ah, yes. No, I found it.
Okay.
Let me see here. I found... Okay. Listen to this. August 18th, August 8th, 2013. This is going to sound ridiculous, all of this, but here it goes. The shield that Ackerman went on and on about, it's real. It's magic. Even typing that sounds insane. Magic. I can't help but think of Tam. November 12th, 2013. It hasn't taken me long to realize I essentially have to learn a new language to understand all these in detail. The idea of magic is no longer obtuse to me. Even the simple explanations in some of these texts seem normal now. January 15, 2015. From what I've been able to gather, Harper Langdon is the key to all of this. I've spent all of last year piecing together the possible threats, and it all comes back to Harper. Sarah even wrote a book about her story. Was Harper a woman? It seems back in the 1800s she was murdered and her body was never found. From the tomes I've collected and read, it seems that a vengeful, restless spirit is the only possible culprit of the murders all those long years ago. March 24th, 2015, it's become clear to Logan and I that to find Harper's bones, I'm going to have to cast a wayward spirit spell that will help us track the location of Harper's corpse. Based on the story and the history of Bangor? Tam, do you know this word? She shows you the book. Bangor.
You actually all recognize it. It's a city in Massachusetts. It's relatively very close to Harper's Hill, actually. It's the neighboring town.
And the history of Bangor, I'm sure it's somewhere in the hills between here and there. However, tracking it without the use of magic would be impossible. July 6, 2015. While Ackerman and Sarah did their best, all they did was create a shield around Harper's Hill, essentially muting any potential spirits or magic. It was a plug, not a solution. I'm working towards a solution. However, I have to lift the shield in order to track down Harper's bones. Risky, I know. September 13, 2015. I've hit a few roadblocks in the translations. Need some time away from all of this, I think. October 26, 2017.
This was just a few days ago.
Mm-hmm.
Logan is hesitant, and I tried calling Tam but got her answering machine. For all I know, it's not even the right number, so I'm going at it alone. Tonight, in the woods, I'm going to perform the ritual in the Undercroft beneath the old clubhouse. Wasn't that where that blood was leading?
Mm-hmm.
To remove the shield. Once it's removed, I will cast a spell to follow the spirit of Harper back to her resting place, which I'm sure is somewhere in the hills to the northeast of town. I've brought the pendant and will put it on when I get there. That at the very least should protect me, but I know it sounds silly, but I pity Harper. I feel for her spirit, and tonight I'm happy to be helping her rest finally. This is it. I'm leaving shortly. The only missing piece, the thing that keeps prattling in my brain. Why those kids? Why not anyone else? What connected them? What list was she working from? Hopefully once all this is done, it won't matter. That's the last entry.
You see Luke Logan sitting on the ground next to the car, his head in his hand. We read the passage that he translated many, many times. He kept thinking that the pendant I got for him was meant to be placed around the body before he salt and burned the bones. He wasn't going to wear it. He was going to follow the spirit and put it on the corpse and burn it. And we were wrong. You have to wear it. It was. And he reaches into the trunk and he pulls out a small satchel, the one that you remember taking from the evidence as well, the satchel of his belongings. And he pours them out, and in it is a small pendant on a chain, a little bit of blood on it.
Yeah, I saw this before, but I didn't think it meant anything.
Well, this was one that he had in his pocket. I gave him a few. He was always losing things. But
so is it the material of the pendant, like the silver?
No. It's I think it's the sigil, and he holds it up, and you see that it's sort of like a almost a
D8, D20,
sort of.
Huh.
They're nothing special. They're not even hard to find. I have about 3 of them, but for whatever reason, the translation was missed. He was so excited. He thought that he could go right away. It wasn't meant for the body that was destroyed, but the body of the seeker. In this case, him. It needs to be worn. It prevents anything from hurting you. It can still touch you. It can push you, but your soul is intact, at least in this realm. That's what the thing said. I don't know. I can't speak it. I just...
So do you
Okay.
Are you wearing one now?
Yeah. And he pulls open his chest and he puts up the necklace. Are you kidding? This was on him. This was one of the ones that was on him when he died, and he wasn't wearing it. He had another one, but they didn't find it on his body. I don't know what happened to it.
Logan, what Luke says in this diary, and then she points out the phrase, Harper Langdon is the key to all of this. Did he expound on that at all with you? He talk about it? What does he mean, the key?
Well, does he mean about the ritual? And I show the page again. The resting place. Why is Harper Langdon connected?
Listen, I don't know where he has it. It's somewhere in his apartment, I think. Maybe I can't remember where he put it or what he did with it, but
The book?
yeah, the one that Sarah Cummings wrote. It was about the town of Harper's Hill and the history. Look, you gotta understand that for a long time when I was living with Luke, I kind of thought it was bullshit. It wasn't up until the end here, only the last few months, when he involved me to the point where I actually started to believe all this. What he said was that Harper Langdon was a young girl from Bangor, the neighboring town, and I don't know, like a long time ago, she went missing, and someone, I guess, killed her. They never found her body. And Luke became convinced that whatever was hurting those kids all those years ago was the spirit of Harper Langdon coming back. So he wanted to cast a spell to track down her body and salt and burn the bones.
Where was she buried?
Somewhere in the hills behind the clubhouse, between Bangor and here.
How did she die?
Find it,
Oh, I have no idea.
because that's where Luke was coming from.
You said she was murdered, but that her body was never found?
Well, look, the history is, you gotta understand, hundreds of years old. This is stories, and stories changed and changed. This is the 1800s, but the town mayor at the time, Crawford something or other, I think he thought that the girl was killed by a guy, but they never really found the body to prove it. Look, Luke was the one that knew all this shit. I just fucking heard it from the side, and he kicks the tire to the car.
So where did Luke go? Why did he know where to do this?
It says it there.
Wayward
He
spirit.
slaps the fucking book. He went to your clubhouse, to the Undercroft.
So he did a spell that pointed out that it was underneath a clubhouse.
Yeah. No, he did a spell, and I don't know. He said that it would be like a light, like a guiding light. He talked about it like it would be like a flashlight, and he'd follow it, and it would lead him to the bones or whatever, and then he would destroy the bones, and then that would lift everything. But he fucking got it wrong. He said that the necklace needed to go on the body before he burned it, and that would seal the spirit, but he didn't wear the fucking thing, and now he's dead.
And he removed the shield that night, so we're not safe anymore. That's why the murders have started again.
Yeah, I guess.
Do you know about the tree? Did he ever mention that tree in the center of town? Big old thing, you know the one.
Well, I know the tree. Yeah, I know you never mentioned it.
If we were to cast this spell, the wayward spell, do you think that's necessary, or do we know exactly?
I don't think we
where
have a
she's
choice.
I think Luke didn't finish it. I think Luke was stopped. The shield was down, he said so himself.
buried?
So
Yeah.
he wasn't safe. He wasn't wearing the necklace. He wasn't protected.
Did he say anything about how to take down the shield? How he was going to do that? Potentially how to put it back up if things went wrong?
No, he didn't. He said it was in a book or something.
Maybe it's in the book that Sarah wrote.
No,
Right.
no, that was like a history book. It was small. It didn't even go into running publishing. I saw it. It was like a manuscript.
But
only
the book-
copy was at the library.
The book that Ackerman gave Luke, was it red or black? Red and black binding or something like that?
Uh,
Do you remember?
no, it was nothing like that. Look, guys, you wanted it. That's it, okay?
All right.
Here, and he tosses something down on the ground, and it's the necklace, the multiple necklaces that he had. I have mine. You wear them or don't. I don't care.
Thank you, Logan, for all of this.
And he walks towards the front of his car.
I grab the necklace and I hand it to Tam.
Well, there's multiple. There's 4 necklaces.
Oh, okay.
Well, there's 3 necklaces. Let's say that.
Ooh.
Who doesn't get one?
I wouldn't take one.
Okay. Marie also put up her hand, by the way.
Yeah, but Marie can have one.
I don't want it.
Breaks her jaw and takes it.
Take the damn necklace!
Doesn't take, I should say. And Logan starts heading towards the front of the car, and he stops. He turns around and says, "If you want my advice, just leave.
All
Just
right,
leave.
well, I'll leave.
Leave town. I'm serious."
Why did you come up with the hexagram? How
I-
did you just
Look.
just randomly gave it to him?
No. There's like 4 or 5 books that he took from that old guy, and each one in a language I didn't understand.
Do you know where the books are?
Yeah, with well, my guess, I don't know. I never went to the Undercroft, but I would bet he kept them there.
And why wasn't he wearing his necklace? Why don't you think he wasn't wearing it?
He thought the necklace was for the body. It was
Yeah.
only
So-
yesterday that I figured it out. You gotta understand, with these words, they're written like fucking... It's like an alien language. I had to go line for line, and when he died... When Luke died, and I was looking through his stuff and I saw the necklace, I noticed one was missing, and they didn't have it on his body. So I went back to that part. The page he gave me, the one he had me look at, it was a photocopy I had in the apartment, and I looked through it, and I went line by line, and he said something about the seeker and something about the victim, and he switched them, and it wasn't meant to go on the body, it was meant to go on him. But Luke thought, he was confident that symbol wasn't necessarily a protection for him. He was just stupid. Had he waited, had he just taken a moment, and he looks at you, Tam, he could have waited for you. You could have talked some sense into him. You know, he called you the night he left. I was there 2 feet from him when we made the fucking call. It was embarrassing. He called you, left a voicemail saying that he needed you or some shit. Ackerman was wrong. I don't know. And all he had to do was wait for you to show up here or call him back, and he couldn't. I think he thought for the first time he was doing something right. And it looks like he fucked everyone over. He turns around and heads to the
And I
front.
punch him in the face.
Oh, okay. So you punch him in the face. I feel like you'll have to dodge, though.
Yeah, but I feel like it's a pretty good chance, being that he wasn't expecting it, I'm sure.
It's very un-Tam-like.
Very untam like. I'll give
It's
you a
very
good
Tam-like
advantage.
when she was a
Oh,
kid.
weird. 23.
But I have an advantage.
You do? Yeah, sure. Okay, you hit him. So you hit him.
I don't know who you are. I've never met you, Logan, but I know Luke, and
Do you? Do you fucking know Luke? For 35 years, you left him alone. Fuck you. And he walks to the front of his car. And he slams the door. And he peels off. Because the truth is, you didn't know Luke. And he did.
Damn.
Good line, or good hit. Well, interesting hit. Okay, so you're standing in the parking lot next to Harper's Hill. The lights of the town are starting to dim as it's getting relatively late. It's now maybe 10 o'clock? It's late.
You shouldn't have said those things about Luke.
You all right? That was intense, Tam. That was something you never would have done as a kid.
What are you talking about? Do you remember when I was with that photographer?
Oh yeah, actually, yeah, no, it definitely.
Or that bully that Luke pulled me off
I was
of?
gonna say that was old Tam.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you feeling all right, Tam?
We gotta finish what Luke started.
Let's go.
Well, we
The
got
night
what
is
we need.
young.
We gotta wait till midnight.
Well, did you guys want to stop by that tree?
Why do you want to go there?
I don't know. There's the initials that are carved into it. I thought maybe we might learn something new since
It's
we're
on
going
the
to be
way.
looking at it with fresh eyes.
You're right next to it anyway.
All right. Yeah, it's right here. It's right beside us.
Oh, Jesus!
Well, like, like up the hill. Although it's at the center of the hay bale maze. Most of the lights are off now.
Oh.
They're sort of breaking down everything, right?
We do need to get everything set up before.
Yeah.
It's about
Do we
10:30.
have everything we need?
So what do we need? We need salt.
I pull my purse and I have salt.
Why do you have salt?
She
I
took
thought
it
we
from
might
Saw
the
him
diner.
take
diner?
it. Or her take it.
What's that?
I was looking at my phone.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, she took it from the diner.
Thief.
Yeah, that's a felony.
You're gonna break
You gonna-
and enter
you gonna
a fucking
arrest
bed
her?
and breakfast.
You
like
gonna
an
arrest
hour
her,
ago.
Maddie?
It's out of my jurisdiction.
Ah, good. Okay. All right. So we got salt. Good. What else do we need, Marie? What else is?
I only have the journal up, but I can find the spell book. There it is.
I have the spell book open.
Great.
We got these necklaces, Matt. You sure you don't want to take one of these? I mean,
We need a black candle.
No, there must be one there. There must be one there somewhere.
If he's performed this spell,
Any of the other belongings that were on his body, Harlan? None of the things in the black candle, no chalk, nothing?
No.
but if he left them in the Undercroft and the police didn't go down there,
Maybe he's already started.
Maybe our priority should be just to get to the Undercroft. Do we know which Undercroft? Is it under the clubhouse? I didn't.
yeah, beneath
Yeah,
the old clubhouse to remove the shield.
The clubhouse that you know.
It was the collapse part that we've never been in and we never cleared out.
Yeah. There's a large
Right.
hatback section where the beginning is, the front is toppled, or the back sort of,
Right.
sort of toppled over. It's completely, you've never bothered looking through there. It's rusty nails and wet wood.
Because the clubhouse was built on the foundation of another building.
Yeah.
Old
That's
parts
right,
of
yeah.
it.
Well, essentially, and as you've aged, you've realized it is a church, right? Like when you were kids, it was a clubhouse and you nailed bookshelves up and things like that. But as you're older, you realize it's an old church in the woods that has basically been destroyed.
I say we go there. I mean, what is it? 10:30? It'll take half an hour for us to get there already. If that's where the books are.
Well, we don't want to miss midnight. The tree will still be here tomorrow.
Okay. Let's do it. Who's driving? Sheriff drove us here.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, and there's like a totally vacant car right next to you, the keys in the ignition. Not.
Is it Karen's
You
car?
fucking walk there. No, you know what'd actually be kind of fun though? There is like a bank of
A
bicycles.
city bus?
No, a bank of bicycles.
We'd steal some children's bikes.
No, they're not children's bikes.
No,
These
like
are-
the Lend ones.
Yeah, these are like the rentable.
Oh, like a Bixie or something.
Bike to go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
bike to go.
But it would be a throwback.
Damn fucking straight.
I point out the bikes. Well, if we have no other option.
Just like old times, Tam.
Yeah.
And I'll push Marie over because she was never with us.
No, and the four of you.
We said old times!
You grab the bikes.
In the mud.
And as you bike through the quiet front of Harper's Hill, the south against the water, You are momentarily taken back to your childhood. It's a weird feeling, a morose feeling almost, because the houses are different. The paint is fresh. The staleness of murder still lingers in the air like it did when you were kids, but it feels different for some reason. And Georgie, as you're pedaling near the back, looking at your friends, now in their 50s, in front of you, what do you think? What goes through your mind?
Well, I mean, it's hard not to think of seeing is believing agency, and catching that guy, kissing in the old harbor house or whatever, port house rather, and just solving crime and just having that freedom as a kid to get together with my friends in the middle of the night and bike out. And it's not a specific instance, I guess, but it's more just that overall feeling of nostalgia, just and that it feels really good to be back and doing it again.
And as you pedal past the front streets, there are jack-o'-lanterns being blown out as you do, and you approach the school. You see the carve out into the woods which would lead to the bridge and to the clubhouse, and you slow to a crawl as the wind begins picking up, the autumn leaves stirring in front of you, the trees beginning to bend in the wind, the bushes being blown, and your hair being tousled as you each come to a stop and leave your bikes at their side.
I'm actually feeling the most myself I felt as far as I can remember, because I've gone so long through like psychiatrists, psychologists, the police psychiatrists, always telling me that the talk of magic and our death and being brought back to life was always sort of hallucinations or inventions of the mind to deal with the post-traumatic stress of being held at gunpoint. And now that it's all coming together, I'm actually feeling the most alive I felt in years.
And they can see that in you.
Mm-hmm.
And Tam, for a moment, catches your eye. And Tam, while you're feeling relatively morose, you see Maddie smiling in a sort of loving way.
I'll race you to the clubhouse. I start pedaling fast.
And you'll lose again.
And as the two of them take off, George, you see Marie setting her bike down. And Marie, what feeling is going through your head?
I think Marie is really creeped out about this whole thing. It's just kind of starting to hit her that she said the words magic and ritual, and we talked about amulets, and this is all very new to Marie, who's like a brick and mortar, hard facts kind of person. So she needs to take a minute and kind of examine, like, what am I doing?
And Georgie, you see Marie kind of taking that moment, and
Yeah.
you see the sort of doubt washing across her face, this sort of realization of what might be happening.
And I never would have believed it myself.
You're a skeptic too?
The biggest skeptic, I think. Still am in some respects, or at least I was trying to be a skeptic for the past 35 years.
Did they convince you when you were young?
Well, we went through some stuff. I don't know. I think they did. I think I played up that I didn't believe because my brain just wouldn't make any sense of it. But you watch Tam, and I mean Tam and Luke together back when we were kids, and a part of me wanted to believe it. And as twisted as it sounds at a moment like this, with everything that is actually happening, the fact that all signs are pointing to, let's face it, the supernatural, I'm somewhat satisfied, strangely, that Tam is right, that Luke is right. And I know it sounds crazy, you must think we all are, but wanted you to know that I trust you now, Marie. And as far as I'm concerned, you're one of us. So,
Thank you. Thank you, Georgie. That means a lot. It's been hard for me, with my family falling apart and my sister gone, and I felt like I was alone on this earth, the only person who knew the truth, trying to solve something that had gotten brushed under the rug, that I was never going to find the truth, and I feel like we're close.
Yeah, I think so too. After you.
Let's.
The two of you continue off in the woods. Sorry, I should just let you do it. Go ahead.
And we'd bike into the woods.
So you ditch your bikes and head into the
Okay.
woods. Yeah, can't bring bikes in the woods. How you gonna get across
Marie
the street?
doesn't know this. She
Yeah,
tries to
you
bike
can't
into the
you can't
woods.
do that.
Oh.
Unless they've got bike paths, but I don't think
Big
Do we
no.
ditch these here, or what if they get stolen?
As you
It means we won't get our deposit back.
take a short stroll into the woods, you see Matt and Tam, who were eagerly racing each other. You see them stopped at the bridge across.
When we got to the bridge, it kind of got a little. It changed. So.
Real, yeah. What are you doing standing there, Tam?
If before we go in, I want to take some of the salt and actually draw it along the bridge.
Nice. Fuck, now I'm fucked.
Yeah, right. I wish.
It's that easy.
And I say, just in case, and I smile at Maddie. When Georgie gets here and Marie gets here, I say, everyone got their amulet on? Marie? Georgie?
Yeah.
We don't have enough for Matthew, so.
It's good. It's good.
Are you sure?
There's Luke had to have had one. We've got to be able to find one.
Yeah, he's probably got one. I mean, maybe he left it in the undercroft.
I have something that might do the trick, and I reach in my pocket and pull out a marble. I say, here.
And I take it, and I show him. I reach into my pocket and show him that I've got one already.
Aw,
Got mine too.
I lost my marbles long ago.
Well, then here, have one of mine. I give it to Marie instead.
Thanks, Tam.
And
So what's the situation with the river? It's not.
no, you just for a moment you pause there, remembering what happened the last time you crossed it at night.
Oh yeah.
That looks slippery. She's pointing her flashlight on the log.
Who's the
It's,
first? Well, it's now a
bridge
bridge.
now, though, right?
Yeah, now a reinforced
Oh.
bridge. You're safe.
That's a slippery bridge.
It is, yeah.
But it is very windy. Who's the
I
first
don't want to go last this time, and I walk across.
Okay, roll nothing. You make it across perfectly fine. As you each do. And you head into the woods.
Actually, I grab Georgie by the shoulder, arm around him, and we go. We used to always do this together.
That's right. I'm a little more sure of my footing this time, though.
As you
Even
slip
though-
and fall to your death. You each cross, and you enter the sort of open area around the clubhouse. The clubhouse sits in the windy night, the trees swaying and creaking around it. The bright blue moon illuminates it, and again you see it as you did that night, 35 years ago. The front end elongated your clubhouse, the back end crushed in on itself, layers and layers of wet pillars and beams. And the entire surrounding area is about knee-high ferns. It just opens up to a clearing around the clubhouse church. And as you approach, you feel again that odd sense of familiarity, and you enter, stepping on the wet wood of the clubhouse.
So you've never been into the undercroft before, even though this was your clubhouse, right?
Yeah, you make it sound like that's illogical, but it seemed to make sense at the time.
Was it caved in when you were little too?
It just seemed dangerous.
Well, it's also the undercroft of a church. Mega spooky.
Well, you
like,
never seen the
13-year-old.
Undercroft. You didn't know it existed.
Right.
There
Which
was-
is the other part of it, Marie.
That's what we
Just
really
give
meant
us
to
a
say.
break.
And in fact, Marie, even as you're looking there, I mean, the police missed it. This isn't something that was obvious. The entire back section is essentially just folded in on itself. And as you walk over to where Luke's body was, you each sort of bend down, shining your light, and you see about only enough to crawl through on your belly to a very small area that seems to open.
This is what I was showing you guys in the pictures. I'm going to take my flashlight and look around in the cracks of the floor and look for a necklace if perhaps Luke dropped it that didn't
Yeah.
get picked up.
Can I try to spot hidden?
Yes, spot hidden for both of you, please.
No, I just wanted to succeede because it was such
Oh,
a...
okay, then no.
I looked through our old
Marie stubs her
things that
foot.
we kept here. Did we keep any like old like candles and stuff still?
Yeah, there's older candles for sure.
But nothing like
No,
black
they're all pretty
candle.
much burnt down to their stubs.
Yeah.
Michael, are you rolling, my baby? Oh, 14.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm succeeding in finding that necklace and going, boom, yeah, I told you.
So an extreme. So
See the glint through the floorboards.
yeah, sure. You see the necklace, and you bend down and pick it up, and you see it's got bloody. No, the whole point is no, you don't see it. What am I saying? You think maybe it fell through to a place below.
Sure, correct.
Because I mean, what kind of fucking police would it be if they missed a fucking necklace that had blood on it, right? So you don't.
Not
see
as
it.
good as
After
Maddie,
I throw
apparently.
But you do bend down and look, and you do see way back in the small little passage, the blue glint of a marble against the back wall.
A lot of fucking good that'll do. I want the fucking necklace. All right, I'll grab the marble.
So you have to crawl through. Again, it's sort of towards the area. that's-
Right after Tam, I'll crawl through and grab the marble.
Tam's going first. Okay.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. I'll go.
So Maddie, you get down on your belly, and you begin crawling across the wet boards, and they bend as they do. Nails are close to your head, the strong beams of the peaked roof.
And I'll tell them to watch out for the nails and stay low.
Yeah. And as you crawl through to the other side, it opens up just a bit. And what you see is just the half caved in of sort of a stairwell going down, stone steps heading down. The blue marble, caked in blood, sits right next to it, like a token, leading you.
I'll quickly just take some pictures with the flash and just quickly text those guys the pictures just to show them what's ahead.
And even looking back, you can see they're maybe 5 to 10 feet away from you. They're all looking in, and you text them, and George, your phone buzzes.
I show them pictures.
And you see what Maddie sees. Again, a small alcove, maybe about this big, that if you squeeze under the broken...
Maybe I'll Facebook Live it.
You see the stones. There's no Wi-Fi. There's stones, and you have no minutes. The stone steps leading down to sort of a dark area.
Huh. And you think Luke crawled through here regularly? You think he tried to open it up a bit, eh?
No, I think he only came down here the once.
Oh.
Does it look safe, Maddie?
It's safe enough. It seems safe enough. Just watch your head. There's a nail sticking out of all the boards.
All right, Marie starts to crawl in behind him.
And I'll test the steps as I go before I actually put weight on as well.
Yeah, and they're solid stone steps.
And as I follow behind George, I imagine you're going in.
Sure, yeah.
I'll also salt the entrance
Okay.
area.
So the four of you begin in, and Matt, you begin putting your pressure on the steps, and maybe about 5 steps in, the ceiling is now to the point where you can sort of crouch and begin descending the circular steps that lead down.
Do you think this was an old catacombs?
They wouldn't have catacombs in Western churches, would
Yeah,
they?
sorry.
And as
They
you
have basements, but
continue on the stone steps, give me a dodge roll.
yeah, I will.
Mm.
And I mean, by that I mean I'll push throw instead of reset.
Your die aren't showing up, so I don't.
And I'll like, because I'm crouching, I'm trying, but it's kind of awkward.
And your
because my
foot
knees aren't as good as they used to be.
and your foot lands on a loose stone, and the stone turns out, and with a loud thunk, you fall down onto your ass and slam against the dirt wall of the stairwell.
Matt, are you okay?
So good.
You take 3d20 damage.
Ossuary.
And no, you see that the stone now has fallen out, and the stone itself has sort of crumbled, and it just flips and actually echoes down the steps and into
This
sort of.
actually goes pretty far down, guys.
All right, well, let's all watch our step from now on.
Are we below the level of the river?
Not yet. It's not that deep just yet. But the dirt walls are starting to turn to stone.
Okay.
And as you follow the set of stairs that lead you downward, the scent of moss and dirt fill the air. The undercroft's stone walls flicker and cast shadows against the soft glow of your flashlights. And eventually, your feet touch on the soil of the bottom floor, and you enter a small room with stone walls. As you shine your light around the room, you see a large grave in the center of the room, filled.
You think this is Harper Langdon's grave? I say, walking towards it.
No, that's somewhere between here and the next town.
Right.
Well, I don't know. Why would Luke be drawn here if he didn't think these were the bones?
You see on the ground, and as you sort of each begin filling the room with light, you see a bit more. Within the stone walls, makeshift bookcases look like they've been engraved in. Not anytime recently, but in it are tomes and books. You see on the ground, just to the other side of the room, something drawn on the floor in chalk, and a black candle sticking on the ground. There's a chair, although it looks like carved out of. It's more of a stool than anything else. It's sort of just chipped out of stone and on the wall. But it seems like this might have been an area that Luke spent a bit of time in, not all that much time in, but maybe to read.
The books must be really musty as well.
Very much so.
I try to read. Is there a gravestone?
There is a gravestone, yes.
Does it say anything?
It does. Probably. Let me see. I don't know if you could read it. It's pretty old.
Old, and the drippings of condensation.
You know
from the
what?
ceiling.
Roll luck. Sorry. Thank you, Justin, but roll
Ward
luck. He's trying to help me.
Yeah.
What's that at?
51? I don't know how lucky I am.
What's your luck say?
Well, here's the thing about luck.
You don't know, do you?
No.
You're a son of a bitch.
There's a luck
16
total.
Is that beside the 80 and the 99? 99 sanity, maybe 80?
No, it's underneath the characteristics. It's it's under HP.
Mm-hmm.
7? Max HP, 7? I see the luck cut out of luck.
I should say
thing.
luck total.
Oh,
Well, what's a good number? Justin, what do you have?
Well,
I've got 70.
and Marie has 20, though.
So
I have
let's
45.
Let's split the difference.
How do you not have a luck roll?
That's why I don't know.
Okay, give me
Do you
something
want me to
else.
share
then.
what I have?
How about you give me a...
Uh,
I kind of want it to be...
power luck? A power roll?
Sure, let's try power. That'll be your luck.
Success.
Is it?
Yeah, I have an 80 in power.
And what'd you roll?
51.
All right. Yeah, there's a name on the fucking stone. And it says this.
It's pretty... Oh.
Oh,
Well, this is not the right grave.
De tribus militibus.
The 3 soldiers?
Yeah. De tie. Yeah. That something military. Yeah, I guess that would make sense.
Well, I grabbed the black candle. Anyways.
Okay.
Can I? Sorry, can I look around and see if any of these books are red with black binding?
You can. Give me a spot hidden.
I'm sure they've all been read at some point.
Oh.
Knew someone was going to make that joke.
Womp womp.
Wasn't going to be me.
All right, let me give you a roll. That's a great roll.
What'd you get?
I succeeded a difficult, right?
Not fair.
Yeah.
Okay. None of the books are red with black binding. No.
Do I see anything else very cool?
$1 million. No, but you do notice that the chalk drawing on the floor looks like a pentagram.
Yeah, pentagram, she says.
Excuse
clear
the
that
wooden
ceremony.
floorboards, but it's that. Sorry. Yeah. No. Do you find anything neat? Oh, my apologies. Yes, you do. You find a necklace. A blood-soaked necklace. That's right. Even though there's no floorboard cracks above, let's not think too much on it. It looks like it might have fallen when the rounding staircase and
Bounced down the
bounced.
stairs.
There you go.
Right. It's kind of in the same area as the stone, the pavement stone that came loose.
Exactly.
I hope you don't mind having the bloody one. She hands it to Mike. Michael, to Matthew.
And given him the
I mean, I can.
Thank you.
I'd actually prefer it. Thank you.
Smells like Luke.
Yeah, it's a bit of your friend.
Okay. So
He's
you're
inside
standing
me now.
around the dirt basement. You see the pentagram on the floor. The wax of the candle is still about half.
Why was Luke here? He was clearly doing something. Was he here to lift the shield, maybe?
Yeah, that's what he said in his journal. Is this grave fresh?
No, ancient.
No, he's putting back the shield.
No,
My
he
Under
said,
the shield to find the body.
That's right. He was doing the wayward spell, right? Down here.
And that told him where to go for the body. So maybe we need to do the same thing.
From what you understood, he lifted the shield spell and then cast what you see before you, which is the last page of the spell book, in order to harness a spirit from the other world, to follow it to the bones of Harper Langdon to lay her to rest.
See, I was under the impression we were trying to find Harper Langdon's grave to follow it, but this is what we follow.
To
I get
find
it.
her, because her body is somewhere in the hills.
So in that case, I open up the spell book and I say, well, we have to start then. What time is it?
It
Hold
is
on.
5 to midnight.
Really? Is it that close?
Yeah, you guys took forever. What the hell?
We bike.
Okay.
We
not
really
very
should
good
do
at
that.
biking.
You
The way
biked,
I
you
see
took
it-
time, you spoke.
The way I see it, guys, is that we have a choice right now. I don't know. Marie, did you see any books right there that might have explained how to put the shield up? Nothing like that, eh?
She didn't see anything like that, and furthermore, all the books that she pulled down were all in a very complex language that none of you
Right.
recognized.
Well, I guess we don't really have a choice then. I mean, I thought maybe we could either put the shield up or go look for the body, but I think that our hand is limited.
It's not impossible. You could take the books down and, like Luke, try to study them and learn the language. But betting, you know that more people may die.
Yeah. All right,
Here's-
Tam, lead the way.
Wait, here's an interesting question. The only people who have been killed by this monster are people whose names were carved into that tree in the center of town.
Hmm.
None of us have our names carved on that tree.
So let's
Does
leave.
that mean we're safe? Just a thought.
I don't remember Luke ever carving his name in. It's possible that it gets carved in after.
No, because
don't know.
that's the list that the mayor made.
I know, but what happens if more names are added after? We don't
Carved it
know.
on the bridge, though.
But the child, the most recent murder victim, her name was on this list. And the librarian would have had to have had the list.
I'm just saying we're dealing with supernatural things here.
the-
It's possible that, it's linked without, beyond just someone writing their name on the tree.
You're talking about Candace Brimmer, right?
Yeah.
I thought that her name appeared on the tree
Yes.
the morning after.
No,
So
it
she
was struck out the morning after.
was struck out the morning
Yes.
after.
But it's been on the list since the beginning.
Well, it's wishful thinking. I don't mind believing that we're safe.
It's just a thought.
By that same logic, we could burn the tree down and everyone will be safe.
Well, I don't think there's enough to go on that. I mean, what we do have is that we have this spell that if it works, it's going to lead us to the body of Harper Langdon. I think we should go on that.
So
Okay.
you're believing in this now, George?
Well, what's that saying? That whenever all logical explanations are
Occam's
counted out,
razor.
Occam's razor? No, that's the most obvious answer. Is often the most
Simplest
Isn't that
answer.
what you're
The
saying?
simplest.
No,
No,
what
but
I
I'm
mean,
saying
The Sherlock. Sorry, my apologies.
the Sherlock. Whatever's the
Eliminate the impossible, and whatever's left is whatever. That thing.
Yeah. I can't. I mean, maybe it's not impossible.
So I sit down on the floor and I put the candle back and I open up the spell book. Marie, do you have your lighter?
Yeah, she pulls it out. Ka-chink.
Okay. Well, one is to light the black candle.
Okay, so she grabs a candle and
Wait. And before she lights it, I say, what if we have to do this exactly in order? And I see the chalk pentagram. And is there a piece of chalk still on the ground?
Yeah.
So I pick up the chalk and I start rubbing the pentagram out first.
Tam lives. Whoa, that was close.
good idea.
You never know. So then I say, okay, let's start again. So we light the black candle.
Done.
And I draw the chalk pentagram.
Okay.
Well, I guess I'll read it.
Where do we stand? Marie's very awkward.
We'll stand outside of the pentagram. Make sure you're not within the circle.
Okay.
And as you
And I
stand
read-
back, Marie, you're still playing with your lighter. And Georgie, you see her nervously playing with the lighter.
Hey, that's a nice lighter you got there.
Shh, quiet. I'll
Sorry.
start reading.
It's a nice
I seek you by your mortal name. The shackle binds you still. Rise from the ethereal plane. Oh no, I did it wrong. And carry out my will. Show me to your resting place, so I may help you leave. I call to you now, spirit world. This soul I will receive. Harper Langdon.
And for a moment, you each look to each other, waiting for something to happen. Maddie, what are you thinking?
I'm wondering how my psychiatrist is going to deal with this story, particularly because it is a police psychiatrist. And whether or not, if I open up, whether I'll be able to keep my job.
George, what about you? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking whether or not the town records in Bangor might have lists of names that might line up with other people who have gone missing.
Marie,
I'm not really paying too much attention.
Marie, what are you thinking?
Marie's thinking, I don't know why I carry this lighter around with me anymore. I should get rid of it.
And Tam?
I'm so focused at the moment. I'm watching the candle. I'm waiting for something to happen.
And as you stand focused on it, the other three sort of listless in their own thoughts, almost doubting the magic in the room. Tam, with all your might, you stare at the candle, and while no air moves in the basement, it flickers. And from the center of the pentagram, a small light emerges from the dirt.
Harper Langdon.
The white wisp of smoke, almost like a small bead of light, almost like a marble, but larger, raises from the earth and begins ascending. It comes to your eye height and it buzzes loudly like an electrical light. And it begins ascending the stairs of the Undercroft.
Come on, guys, we gotta hurry. And I quickly get up. I grab the candle and I follow it.
Don't forget to watch your step.
Do they see it?
Yeah, everyone sees it.
Yep, we're following.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
And as you begin following it, it only moves as far as you are. You know, and you take a few steps up as it ascends, and you take a step back and it comes back a bit.
It's waiting for us.
We got to tell it what to do. It goes
It
by your
knows.
will.
It knows where we're going.
We have to be careful. This is exactly what happened to Luke before he died.
Does it always seem to be pointing in a direction?
It's sort of just moving forward as you are.
But if I were, for example, turn right, does it swing to my left as if?
No, doesn't move.
So it just follows me.
Think of it on a track almost.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So if I were to like go around it, it would change its orientation. It's like a compass.
Correct.
Okay.
You ascend the stairs, and the floating light works its way through the crumbled part of the church, out past where Luke died, and hangs at the edge of the wood until the four of you catch up, sharing mysterious, awkward looks between you. It's something you've never seen before. There's something magical about it, but also there's something real about it. The buzzing, the humming of it gives a feeling to it, almost like you can reach out and grab it. But
when we were leaving the clubhouse, I would have thought to do this. Was there a shovel? Just glancing.
Yes, sure. Because why the fuck not? I mean, obviously not. But I get where you're coming from, and I appreciate the forethought. So yes, you grab it.
Okay.
And each of you share sort of astounded looks as you enter the woods.
I keep talking to the orb as if it's another person with us. And I say, this was our clubhouse. We didn't know it was the place you arrested. I used to call this place, and I'm not sure, Harlan, if this is it, but I call this place the Raven. I share that. Yeah, Riven, I share that with him.
The Riven, yeah. The Riven is the woods that you call around the area. And it's sort of, it's weird. The orb sort of almost pulsates at certain words you speak, like a soul in itself. And as the four of you enter the woods, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's not important. Keep going.
No, it is important.
No, it's not. Keep going.
Okay.
I'm just watching Tam with awe as she's having a one-way conversation with this.
And the three of you are hanging back, and Tam is almost, speaking to this thing like it's a being. And the three of you hang back. You remember walking these woods at night as a child. And now, especially to you, George and Maddie, they seem different, darker, more real. Something about them makes you feel like there are eyes watching you. And as the white wisp buzzes quietly like an electrical light towards you, you see Tam, almost with a smile on her face, like she's speaking to her daughter. The moonlit sky above you casts sharp blue shadows between the barren trees, and as you move deeper into the wilder woods, you feel the need between the three of you hanging back to cut the tension a bit.
Anyone have any good jokes?
Great GPS system.
Yes.
I'm just
Don't have to rely on Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I'm just so happy that the stories, my belief in Tam and the magic is real.
Yeah. I know how you feel, Matt. It's just amazing.
Can you capture that on film?
I already am.
Yeah, you pull out your phone and you film, and you see Tam with this little light.
The Invictus stream, what's that?
Sounds magical.
And the three of you are starting to sort of match Tam's weirdly jovial mood as you walk through these barren woods. The wind moving the trees, the barren trees tall above you. Just past the next bend, you see the ancient, dry swamp. This is farther than you've ever been in the hills, and as you make your way across the once wet, muddy grass, you hear the breeze bring to life the trees on either side of you. Like pained shrieks, they creak in the night air. And before you stands an ancient willow tree. Around it, a barren, dry ring of what used to be water. The buzzing light, Tam sits for a second at the tree before continuing on, as if a mind of its own, reacting to your words, reacting to your things and the scenery that it's seeing. It turns past a large mossy rock and stops, as if signaling the destination. And as the four of you round the rock, your left hand on the mossy stone, you see it. There, in the piercing blue moonlight, you see a cracked and crooked hovel, a small mud hut, decades, perhaps centuries old, undisturbed by nothing but the fallen trees and leaves for the many years it sat alone. As your eyes fixate on the dilapidated home, the trees seem to swing louder, but without sound.
You ever seen or heard anything like that?
Ever seen and not heard anything like that?
Georgie, give me a spot hidden.
Is that a little mud house? She swings her flashlight over the hovel.
Yeah, and it does. It looks like almost as if it goes into the earth, but it's still about 6 to 7 feet tall. There's a large tree across the entrance, and it looks man-made. You see pieces of wood sticking out of it at one point.
No good, but I'm gonna spend some luck.
Okay, luck it up.
I'm gonna spend 26 luck to succeed on that spot hidden.
Okay. George, you feel awkward within the trees. They are moving, swaying, but without sound. And you turn to the nearest tree. Its trunk is thin, almost smooth in the blue moonlight. And as you follow the trunk up with your eyes, you see that it's not a trunk at all, but a leg.
What?
The leg of something that, as you turn up towards the blue sky, is staring right back down at you, silhouetted, with the moon behind it. With a massive thump, the creature's hand smashes against your chest, throwing you into the bushes as the three of you reel on your heels. The massive creature picks up its two long arms, also masking as trees, and shrinks down to 12 feet and stands before you, its long, thin arms, its arachnid-like fingers. In the darkness, you see its ink-black smile. The four of you are frozen. Until you're not.
I want to pull out my gun.
You do.
And
I shoot.
unload the whole clip into that thing.
You both do. Please roll attacks for your shooting. Tam, what are you
I
doing?
feel like I wouldn't unload the whole thing.
Oh, I
I'd
would.
like shoot twice and then just be like, slow down, clown. Speed kills. Like, we might want to
George,
save some
you're
of
going
this.
to take 1d10 damage, by the way. And
Oh, yeah.
is that a good or a bad roll? I never know.
Ho!
Is that a good or a bad roll? I
That's a
never know.
terrible roll.
Okay. But Mary's is good?
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
mine's very...
That is a malfunction on my gun.
I only took 1 damage from that.
Okay, Matt, you pull out your gun and it blows up in your hand. I feel like you
I have an
can't.
extreme success.
Okay,
Shoot
so
your
between the
eye,
two
dude.
of you, Marie is obviously the better shooter. Okay, so Justin, you take 1 hit point, which is pretty good for only having 9 hit points.
The shovel kind of blocked it.
Perfect. And
Nice.
yeah, you go flying back into the bushes. Blood leaches from a small cut in your scalp as you wipe it away. You see Marie pull her gun and fire all 6 rounds. Whoa! As they echo through the night. Tam, you spin around, your ear buzzing with the sound as the bullets sink through the creature. Almost unmoved, it reels back with each hit, but they pop through and sing off into the distance, hitting the trees, sparking flecks of wood into the night sky as you do. Marie, your pistol is empty and all 6 rounds have been fired. Maddie, your gun.
I reach for my gun, and I'm so panicked, I just throw it.
Oh my god!
It
And I
goes.
can feel myself, and I can feel my bladder going like I'm about to piss myself.
Oh, that's
again.
kind of perfect for Maddie. And it goes flying up, hits a tree, and lands nowhere you could even describe through the gunfire you can make out. Tam, what are you doing?
I see this horror before me, and I reach in my pocket, grab out some marbles, and I grab the book of spells, and I start just reading them, kind of not knowing what I'm doing one after another.
So as you're flipping, panicking, you see the little glowing orb that you're following zip through the creature's legs and into the hovel.
And I see it, and I immediately run after it.
Okay, give me a dodge roll.
And I got a 7.
Oh, you fucker.
Wow.
As you
Fucking A.
You drop the spell. Well, you can keep it. I don't fucking care. You make a break through the creature's legs, passing by its almost liquid legs that drip black ink. As you spin through it, it takes a slow swipe at you and completely misses. You run right through as you see the small blue dot sink under the tree, and as you do, you dive onto your stomach, sliding into the floorboards of the hovel. Back at Marie and Matty. You guys can go in turn.
So my bullets didn't really seem to have too much of an effect. But that's basically all that Marie knows how to do.
So reload.
Yeah, she's gonna reload. I don't know if that takes my turn or how.
Let's roll
combat
a hit
really
and
works.
see what happens.
Great. Come on, baby. That's still a hit. Yeah.
I'm going to say Marie is a speed loader. You flick
Great.
open your 6-shooter, pop the other one in, flick it back, and unload 3 more shots
Fuck yeah.
towards it. Where are you aiming this time?
Torso.
The torso again. Okay. So, again, the 3 shots rip through it. It doesn't seem to be hurting it, but it does distract it slowly. And it sort of turns towards you and begins lumbering towards you with its tall legs. It walks almost in inhuman fashion the entire time, a smile plastered on its face.
Oh my god.
Maddie, your gun is now somewhere in the bushes, and you stand there, stricken with fear.
Yeah. So I reach back and grab my stun baton.
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
Feeling a little more confident
because you lost your gun.
Yeah. Trying to also kind of like look to see where I tossed my gun. All right. Anyway,
You're not gonna find
I'm
it.
gonna try to like zap the knees of it.
Okay, so you run up. Give me a brawl.
Yeah.
Or unarmed,
God.
or however you want to do it.
Just like in
There we
Magnolia,
go.
where that cop loses his gun.
17. So that was a hard success.
Okay, so you run up and you smack its leg, but as you do, the baton sings right through it. It's almost like hitting water. It sinks out. Some of the black splashes against the ferns that bed the ground here. But for
Does that
the
mean
most
the electricity that goes off does extra damage?
you'd think so, except it doesn't seem like it's a conductive water. It's like water. How about this? It's like sand, and yet it's wet. Well, I'm just telling you like it is. It's more like a sludge or something. But it does, again, momentarily distract it, and as much as you do hit it, it does fall down onto its sort of shin, as you do see another piece of leg grow back out of it, and it steps back up, and it's 12. George, you are lying in the bushes, wiping the blood from your forehead.
Yeah, I'm dazed still a little bit, but I'm gonna try to look around to see if any of the other trees are doing the same thing.
No, it doesn't look like it.
So it's just it. So I as I'm pushing myself, I'm eyeing the thing as it goes down to one knee.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a spot hidden to see if I see any weaknesses or
Shoot.
anything with it. Oh, wrong one. Sorry, that's not right. 1d100.
A 2. Oh.
No dice. My head's
No, you
swimming.
don't see anything. You do see the creature in stark contrast to the moonlight behind it, and again, it's terrifying. It's inhuman. It's something about it reeks of the boogeyman. The drawings in your book, they're eerily reminiscent of the black crayon you used to scribble the elongated arms and legs of the creature that you hunted. And as you stand up and brush yourself off,
I'm just subconsciously holding the my hand over my chest where the front pocket is, where the story is in my front pocket.
okay.
And I'm shaking my head because it freaks me out.
Okay, so Tam, you crawl inside the small hovel, ducking your head as you do. The small home, if you could call it that, fills you with equal parts sadness and fear in a moment. The handsaw floorboards and bark-laden furniture tell the story of someone who is obviously trying to escape the world. I mean, the walls consist of bent branches. Looks more like a mud hut than a home. And the small clay fireplace in the corner houses ancient ashes. It's no more than 7 feet wide, and is long, I should say. And again, nothing but a table, a chair, fireplace, and a little bed in the corner, half destroyed, a damp blanket on top. And as you stand in it, the little blue light hums for a second and sinks right below the floorboards.
I immediately try to rip them up if I can.
Yeah, give me a something. Strength. Okay. That's what it sounded like to me. 16. Fuck you, Tam. All right. You bend down, and the rotted floorboards come away almost easily. You can feel the termites have infested this place for years, and they crumble at your feet. And as you pull back 2 of the massive boards in one fell swoop, you see the small skeleton of a child.
And immediately, I know it might be faster than more than I can do in a turn, but I want to actually think about it and take the necklace off, even though we were told it's not what would work. But in my mind, he never got this far, or did he? And I panicked, but I put the necklace over the thing anyways.
Okay.
The child, I say, may this protect you, and I put it over her, and I look over myself for the salt, and I pour it out onto the corpse.
And you do. And as you pour it out onto the corpse, Georgie, Marie, and Matt, you see the creature screech into the night and turn towards the hovel. Marie, it's your turn.
Marie screams, "Tam!" And she books it for the hovel.
Okay. Kellen is asked to spend 1 XP to trip up the creature, and I'm going to let him spend it at this point.
Yeah, thank you, Kellen.
Marie, you can describe how it gets tripped up, and then your way to the hovel.
Okay, so the creature throws its head to the sky, screams this inhuman shriek, sees Marie kind of rush past it on the left, through the ferns and leaves towards this dwelling. It senses Tam and starts running, but I guess you said that it's a shapeshifter. So like one of its big long legs gets kind of twisted around a tree root, and it's still material, or at least enough that it goes flying face first into the loam, and it has tripped itself.
And it crashes to the ground as it almost... You expect the ground to shake like a movie, but it doesn't. It hits the ground and almost sinks into it for a second as it begins rematerializing with its long arachnid-like fingers pulling itself up. But it gives you enough time, Marie, to slide into the hovel, and you stand seeing Tam shaking salt madly onto the corpse.
Do I have enough time to do anything else, or is that
Yes,
basically
you do.
Great. How big is the necklace? Is it like a real big one, or is it like a little choker?
It's like not a choker. It's like a regular necklace, like hang like my.
But
necklace.
there's no chance that a la Harry Potter, I could loop that around Tam's neck as well.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool.
So
Marie runs up to Tam and puts
you have
her.
to kiss to do it. Put your
Mwah.
lips right in the... No, you do that. Sure.
And then fumbles through her pocket for the lighter.
And she flicks open the lighter, Tam, and you see in the moonlight the words, "This too shall pass," engraved on it. She strikes it and drops it onto the bones as blue flames ignite. Georgie and Maddie, you see the creature before you scream into the night as blackened feathers begin carrying it away into the wind. The blue light, which resides in the fire, floats before you, Tam, and lingers for just a moment before it brightly glows and fades into nothingness.
Thank you, Harper.
And with one last bright beep, you feel that she might have thanked you too. That night, back at Georgie's house, each of you have dreams. Vivid and powerful, but pleasant. Matt, you dream of the riverbank, the cold water around you. But instead, you step out of the water, and what do? You speak up. You feel choked and cough out the water.
And I look around, and again, for the first time in so long, I feel me and I feel whole. And I realize it's not only because of everything that I believed was real is real. It's also because I've reconnected to the ones that made me who I am. And I can finally be at peace with myself, and I don't feel the anger that's always been inside of me, the anger that's held me back. And there's a certain lightness to it. And there's a sense of new beginnings, in a sense, with a new friend as well.
Tam, you also dream that night. You dream of the sister that never was. You dreamt that your mother did give birth and that you were an older sister. What was the dream of?
It was me showing her the little things in life to notice. It was me taking her outside, helping her climb a tree. And the tree was not unlike the one from my first dream, but this time it's full of blossoms and smells of springtime.
George, you dream of your father. You're out back of your home, the home you currently reside in, sleeping, and he exits the back and he turns to you, smiling. Before he was ill, what does he say?
He says, "I've never been prouder of you. Come here."
And he walks over and embraces you with a hug. And Marie, you dream of the night that you left the front door open. But something's different. What is it?
I dream that I wake up in my own bed and I'm 13 years old again. My feet are cold. I go downstairs and I see the front door open just a crack the way I left it. And I open the door and I walk out into the front yard and I stand there in the snow. I look around and I go back inside and I close and lock the door and I go back to sleep.
In each of your dreams, whether it be the backyard or the riverbank or the night that you closed the door, there's a young girl, 6 or 7, and she's smiling. As the morning light streaks through the house, you each wake late. You decide to head out to breakfast. It's November 1st, the day after Halloween. And as you enter the diner, you see the sheriff enter shortly after. He walks over to you and slides into your booth, sharing a look between the four of you. Well?
I looked
It's
at Tam.
done.
We
Done.
finished what Luke started.
Oh. And he looks to you, Marie.
Sheriff, I think we did a good job last night.
And he stands up and places the hat back on his head. A look in his eyes says that he might have suspected something all along. And he turns to you. All right. And he begins heading for the door. Oh, and Marie, if Luke's belongings somehow find their way back into the office, I think it'd mean a great deal to the poor officer who misplaced them.
I'm sure it would, Sheriff.
And he nods to the four of you and exits the diner.
Actually, Sheriff, before you go,
Yeah.
if you have any openings, I'm ready to come home.
I think we do, Matt. I think we do. And he exits the diner. As you file into your seats for Greece, you each laugh at how nervous George was prepping for his date. You shuffle to your seats as the curtain raises and the musical starts. George, you arrive at the restaurant to see Karen outside. You've apologized enough for missing her at the Halloween hill party, and she's dressed in a blue dress and jacket. In the streetlight, she looks almost like a picture. She jokingly has an angry look on her face. Well, George?
Well, Karen.
I figured you've apologized enough through text. I figured maybe you can apologize one last time in person before we start our date.
I know.
Mhm.
I know. It was a excellent fare, just absolutely fantastic, and I just couldn't get out of the haunted house.
Mm. Mm-hmm,
You know?
mm-hmm.
I'm just kidding. I am sorry. I am really sorry.
Well, you can make it up to me tonight, she says as she opens the door to the restaurant, a booking she made. You enter the restaurant and are led to a back room, private from the others. The red wallpaper and dimly lit interior feels warm and comforting on this 1st of November. And as you sit at the table, the room is small, houses a fireplace, which you sit facing Karen, or back to it. Too romantic? She asks.
No, it's perfect.
The musical continues on in simple fashion. The three of you, you have your laughs. Some are purposeful. Some are towards the children's misread lines, but for the most part, it's a fun distraction after the grimness of what you just experienced. However, as Chester Hodson's daughter makes her solo in You're the One That I Want, the final number of the musical, Matt, your phone buzzes.
Excuse me, guys. I take it outside.
You excuse yourself, and as you enter the lobby, you see that you have an email. A response from the email that you sent. Who did you email again?
What's her
That
name?
was Diane Harold.
Harold.
And as you stand up and make your way to the aisle, you see the name, and you see Tam and Marie sort of look at you knowingly. Do you excuse yourself, or?
Yeah. I go outside to read it.
Okay. You open your email, and this is the message that's waiting for you.
Read it out loud so that
Yeah, read it out loud.
listening.
Who reads their email messages on their phone out loud? That's weird.
My parents.
Podcast people do.
I've gotten your message. I don't know where to start. I don't want to cause a panic, but you need to listen to me. I did run into Luke not that long ago. It seems like we were working towards a similar goal. However, we had different ideas on how to handle it. Luke was a strong spirit, and I'm sorry to hear he's passed away, but whatever you do, destroying the remains of Harper Langdon is not the answer. I tried explaining this to Luke, but a vengeance spirit doesn't come from the victim, but rather the perpetrator. Whomever killed Harper all those years ago, destroying the remains will only do something that's below Chris's face.
Oh.
Remains will only unshackle whatever entity is behind this limitless freedom for a creature of pure evil.
There you go. It's back at the top now. You can read that again.
Yeah, no, I got it. Do not destroy her remains. Just sit tight. I'm on a flight home tomorrow. Stay safe.
George,
Well, fuck.
you sit across from Karen, who smiles warmly at you over dessert. Okay, she says. Well, I have a confession. I lied to you yesterday.
You
she
lied to
says,
me.
with
What do
a
you
warm
mean?
smile. Maddie, you read the email, and you enter back into the theater. Perhaps, what do you do?
I hold it out and pass it to Tam.
And Tam, you look at it. Marie, you look over as well.
I think the three of us share panicked looks with each other. Look back up to the stage where the children are singing and dancing. Everything seems very inappropriate now. And Marie stands up to excuse herself.
And Marie, give me an idea roll.
Okay. And idea is just education, correct?
Yes.
Intelligence.
Or intelligence.
Intelligence. So that's a 1.
Okay.
Best score ever.
Perfect. Something has been bothering you about the initial list. You remember the librarian saying that there were initials on it. How many did she say?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 20. There are 20 names.
Georgie, Karen smiles coyly across from you. I'm surprised you didn't catch it, to be honest. I slipped up. I said 23 when I printed you guys the list, but I only printed it with 20. I'm embarrassed to say that when we were young and in school, I carved our initials in the tree. I was shy, and Georgie, as you see her, as you look at her face across the table, the fire goes out. Marie, you turn to Tam, who's exited the theater, and Maddie, as you hold the piece of paper that you had and count the initials again.
We need to find out who those other initials are.
We don't know there's other initials yet, I don't think.
Didn't they just come up and tell us? Oh no, that's why there's Justin.
Yeah,
Well, you do know that she said 23 initials, and you've recounted, and you do know that there are 20.
And then Marie points at Tam and shrugs. And then points at Maddie and shrugs. And then points at herself.
And George, as you sit across, the light from the fireplace beginning to fade, you see the look on Karen's face sort of become a bit perplexed.
That should be fine, Karen. It's not a problem anymore. We think we figured it out.
From the fireplace behind her, you see dripping black, tar-like liquid begin to fall. What's wrong?
And I look around for the exit. I say, Karen, stand up. Come on, we have to go.
From the black within the fireplace, a hand, arachnid-like, stretches out and digs into the floor with deep claws.
And I reach across the table. I grab Karen's hand and I pull her across the table.
She pulls it back. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Get up, Karen. We need to leave. Something's not right.
The face emerges, one of black, greasy hair, a smiling face. And in an instant, he peels across the floor towards your table. Karen's eyes turn white with fear as the creature grows between the two of you, and in one fell swoop, without moving its eyes away from yours, it slashes Karen's throat, peppering the tablecloth in red dots of blood. It flips the table as it reaches for you. You see a flash of light behind its eyes, and it sees the necklace you still have around your neck. With a free hand, it squeezes on your leg and begins dragging you towards the black fireplace. You claw at the red carpet as the creature drags you towards it. And then blackness. Tam, Marie, Maddie, you're standing in the lobby as the people begin flooding out of the theater.
What restaurant's Georgie at?
You know he's at the one just across the street and a bit down.
So we go rushing towards the restaurant.
As you're running down the street, the air is picked up. It's blowing wild. You can almost barely see the street as the leaves and the wind are blowing almost a gray fog-like air through the streets. You push away towards the entrance of the restaurant. And as you open, you see people turning towards the back room, a screeching yelling coming from there. As you run towards the back, the lights become dim and darker. And as you turn the corner, you see the fingertips of Georgie being dragged into the fireplace, the black tar-like emptiness, void. And as you step into the room, the fireplace begins to close.
I run to try to help him. I grab his hands and start pulling.
You jump and dive across the blood-soaked floor, Karen's body lifeless, sitting on the table. You grab his fingertips just as they slide into the black tar, and the three of you are standing in the room as the lights begin to pick up again.
I drop to my knees and cry.
As you begin crying, Marie, what are you doing?
She stands there in disbelief for a second and then goes up to the fireplace. She's looking for a seam. She's trying to figure out how we can get through too.
Tam?
I look at Karen's body for the mark.
And you can see that it's been carved on her chest. Tam, you sit looking back towards the fireplace. And a single thought springs through your mind. What is it?
My mind immediately goes back to the dream I had and the darkness that was enveloping those I cared about. And I think this is it. This is my fault.
And as you wallow, and as you look down towards the ground, you see a white wisp float up softly, the buzzing like a flickering light. The light
Georgie.
glows to a misty figure like it did the night in the woods. It pulsates the same way Harper did, almost in response. It goes towards the fireplace, and the dim light forces a small circle of black that grows and fills the fireplace. The black dripping tar appears. It grows, and within you see a gray dim light, and Georgie screams. It seems like the light is beckoning you forward to give you a chance to save your friend.
I crawl in.
Maddie, you see Tam, this light bringing from the ground, heading to the fireplace opening, and without hesitation she begins moving towards it and crawling into the black.
I just leap forward from my knees and just keep crawling as fast as I can, yelling at Marie to come.
And you too enter into the black as it envelops you. Marie, you're standing in the blood-soaked, dimly lit room of the restaurant, alone. What do you do?
There's no way I can follow them?
Yeah, you can.
I follow.
As you climb into the hole, Marie, it begins shrinking around you, growing tighter and smaller, and as it does, until the black tar fills your lungs and eyes and ears, and then nothing. Marie, your eyes dart open. There's a dim light that shines from somewhere. You stand up, and you're in a cornfield at night. And while the sky has light, there's no moon that you can see.
I reach for my flashlight.
You go to reach for your flashlight, but it's not there. And you go to feel, and your side feels different. And you go to check your other pocket, and as you do, you realize your left arm is in a cast. And that your body is not the body that you left that world with, but instead the body of your 13-year-old self. And as your eyes adjust to the darkness, you see that the cornfield is covered in webs.
I call out.
And as you do, you hear a rustling through the cornfield of movement grows louder and louder. And in the light you see a head peek out. An older man with blackened skin. "Well, hello there. Are you lost?" he says.
I think so.
"Well, little girl, welcome to the Grim Lands," he says. And we're going to stop there! Ladies and gentlemen, that was Chapter 6 of Grimm. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. It is a dark and dangerous place within the world of Grimm, and I'm happy to announce that we're going back to the youngin' days with the experience that they've learned. That's right. When we come back to this, it's going to be a whole new world once again. We're going to find out exactly what the hell went wrong. But there's still more to cover. First and foremost, I want to thank you guys for watching tonight. I'd also like to thank these players for being so absolutely fantastic. Such characters that I love. I'm so excited to get to play with you guys. You're just awesome. So thank you. Also, I want to say that next week we are doing feng shui.
Yes.
That's what it looks too. I know. So make sure you're here on Wednesday. We're going to be playing feng shui. I am super excited. Now that the stress of the heavy stuff is over, we get to be light and fun again. And that's going to be a really fun campaign. So make sure you guys hang out with us next Wednesday at 8 o'clock, of course. But we can't end the night without rewarding the end game XP. There was a ton of fantastic answers tonight. But if I can jump on top of this, I think it's got to go to the amazing people who have been working tirelessly at trying to solve this little mystery within the theories section of Discord. That's right. We have Kellen and Rin have been the main two mainstays. I know Zia has done a lot too, and I know Aisha has done a lot too, but I have to say Kellen and Rin have been the torchbearers for everything that's going on, and we don't typically give out 2, and I think Kellen just won last week, but I don't really care. I'm going to give 2 XP to 1 to each of you for being the absolute most amazing viewers in trying to decipher what is going on. So well done, guys. It goes to you. And that is the endgame XP. So thank you so much. Yes, so that is it for tonight, and that is it for Grimm for now. Again, next week, Feng Shui. We're going to be playing a bunch of kooky characters. Joe, are you excited?
I'm so excited. I've been thinking about this for about the last month, and there's some shit gonna go down.
Yeah, there's some shit gonna go down.
It's funny. The actual tagline is kick butt, blow
Kick ass.
No, the tagline is kick butt, blow stuff up, and save the world. And I was like, fuck that. I was like, why would you say kick butt when you can say kick ass? And why would you say blow stuff up when you say blow shit up? That's
I guess
right.
because it's a game.
Yeah, you know what? No, fuck that. We don't cater that way. We go 18 plus all the way, and it's going to be real raunchy, probably, maybe. Who knows? So
it'll definitely be violent. I'll promise you that.
There's
going to be a lot of like Mortal Kombat style gore flying all over the screen.
It's like the
very
best,
cinematic.
That's the best way to do anything ever. So, so Feng Shui next Wednesday. Be there or don't. I can't dictate what you do with your life.
I can.
Okay,
yes,
be there.
Joe can.
Joe can dictate what you do with your life. Have a fantastic night and a fantastic weekend. It's a long weekend for everybody or for us? What's the weekend? I forget. Everybody?
Just
What's
us.
the holiday?
Civics.
What is the holiday? Civic? Okay.
The civil people.
Yeah.
Civil? Just for us then, I guess. We're the civil ones. No, I'm kidding. Have a fantastic weekend. And as my baby Chris likes to say,
We'll see you around the table.
we'll see you around the table, guys. Good night.